going on, everybody? Just hanging out tonight. Got my Patreon people coming on, and we're going to have a panel of Patreon subscribers, one at a time. People welcome to come on. Yep. It's a good day. Cold. Sunny but cold. It's a very good day, though. Yeah. What's going on? All right, hold on. Let me just check something out. I am... For those that are Patreons, the patrons, members of my Patreon channel, there is a link at the very top of the chat. Feel free to click on it. I'm inviting all the Patreon subscribers to come on, and let's have a bunch of talking heads. And I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room, which I'm not. So it's nice to have some brilliance here. Absolutely. So just click on the link at the very, very top. This is for everyone who is a patron. Love to have you just join in tonight. I just posted the link again. Click on it and come on. Yeah, we're just having a quick chat amongst the Patreon gang tonight. And I thought I would do this. This was a kind of a spontaneous thing, and I thought it would be kind of fun to do this, to get everybody on there and start creating some community, so to speak. So don't be afraid to click on the StreamYard link, and we'll get you rocking. Well, there we are. There's one guy that's with us.
Hi.
Hey there.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Give me a second. I'll finish pouring this drink here and we'll be good to talk.
Nice.
Appreciate the invite tonight. That's nice.
Absolutely. My God. Now, where are you from?
I am from Southeast Missouri.
Ah, okay. Very good.
So yeah.
What is the weather there?
Right now we are expecting ice and snow and freezing rain and general chaos. So unlike any other state where you have proper snow removal, we have just enough to make things worse. So,
wow.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
So are you going to be out spreading salt?
No.
Or any kind of
No, I'll back the truck in the driveway, and then in the morning we'll see what it looks like, and we'll just put it in drive and go.
Ah, okay. And that's unlike Rob here, who showed me what, 1.5 feet of snow you had, Rob?
Yeah, we got hammered. Can you guys hear me?
No, I'll back the truck in the driveway, and then in the morning we'll see what it looks like, and we'll just put it in drive and go.
Ah, okay. All right, so turn down. Wait, someone's got to turn down their YouTube volume so we don't get the feedback. Anyways, Rob, you got what, 1.5 feet of snow?
I got about 1.5 feet. Some areas of the city actually got about 2 feet. Yeah, just unbelievable.
Wow.
So for those of you that don't know, I'm in the Toronto area, metropolitan Toronto. So just outside in a city called Mississauga, just outside of Toronto.
Now, do you have a snow blower or do you shovel everything?
I shovel. And to be honest, it hasn't been too bad. The last few winters have been pretty mild. So we haven't had, we've been in this house now for 8 years in October that just passed.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a dump that bad since we've been here. So it's been quite a few years since we've had one that crazy. So
now, how long did it take you to shovel that driveway that you showed me?
That was about 4 hours. So 3 hours, I took a break, went back out for another hour. And then we had more to contend with because they came around finally after a day to clear out the driveway. And what happened was they actually dumped all the snow back in front of the driveway. So I ended up having to go out there 3 more times because they came around 3 times and kept dumping snow in front of my property. So it was a lot of hard work. Side of the house is still all full of snow. I can't even deal with it. I got no place left to put it. The backyard is all full of snow. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much snow in Missouri the governor would be issuing a state of emergency? Everything would be shut down.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's funny how certain states are used to the snow. They just kind of, everybody dresses appropriately and, does what, leaves a little bit earlier for work and so on. Other people some states just panic like crazy,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me post the link again. For those that are on Patreon, I welcome you to join the conversation. Just click the link and we'll have you on here. Yeah, I just thought I would just invite Patreon folks on tonight. Just a chit chat. Nothing, no agenda whatsoever. I am in the process of putting together groups, and there's going to be daily groups. For instance, there's going to be a business mastermind group that meets like on a Tuesday night. I think it's going to be a Tuesday night. Wednesday night is going to be for widows and widowers, 2 separate groups. Thursday night, I forget what I was going to do on Thursday night, but Friday night, Thursday night was going to be a breakup group for people that just went through a breakup. Friday night is going to be for people who are going through divorce. So I'll be doing kind of like group coaching in each of these groups, but the business mastermind is literally going to be a mastermind group, and everyone's going to be contributing one way or another. Everyone will be a teacher and a student in this. And hey, Peg, why don't you come on? You're welcome to come on, Peg. You're a valuable part of this group.
Yeah, I'm definitely very excited to get started with that business group. I think it'll be a great way to network with people and get to see kind of what they're working on and so forth, and kind of share kind of my journey of what it is that I'm kind of working on as well right now.
Excellent. Sasquatch, what's in the pipe tonight?
Actually, I found some Lane 1Q that I haven't had in a while, and we're just going basic, I guess.
Oh, excellent. Good. And what is that Briar pipe? What do you got there?
I don't even know what brand that is. It's one, I went into the tobacco shop and I went to go buy some tobacco and it just caught my eye. I don't know that it even has a brand on it, but
it's pretty. It's nice. It's got a nice grain on it.
Yeah, that was what caught my eye on it. And, it's one of those ones that just feels right in your hand. And it smokes easy. So that was actually my first nice one I bought. And interesting part about that was I learned to smoke a pipe by watching one of your pipe videos. So this is kind of fun.
Oh, great. Hey, Peg Bell. Hey, John Hoover.
Hey, hola. Hola, gentlemen, and Peg.
How's the weather down in Austin, Texas?
We are 1 hour away from a blue northern hitting us.
Oh, wow.
It's 75 degrees right now. 1 hour away from a blue northern. And it's 75 degrees right now. 1 hour away from a blue northern. And
I'm gonna need someone to turn down their YouTube volume.
How's that?
Perfect.
There you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's great.
I'm not getting any feedback, so it must have been me. Sorry.
Hey, how'd you recover from pneumonia and all that stuff? You doing all right? I was worried about you there for a while.
I'm much better. Still a little run down.
Yeah.
But I was taking antibiotics and some steroids, and I go in for a follow-up chest X-ray the end of the week. Hopefully get an all clear.
Excellent. Well, that's good.
So it was a little spooky, the onset. And I'm actually surprised I didn't get the virus.
The wooga booga.
The wooga booga. It was just ooga booga, just regular pneumonia.
Right.
So,
Peg Bell, how are you?
I am fine. How are you all? Good to see everyone. Glad John's feeling better, and I like the beard coming back.
Yeah.
The snow is melting, and I'm thankful for that. I actually got out the driveway this morning and got the mail.
The 300-foot driveway?
Yeah, it's every bit of that, if not more. And I live on a hill, too, so it's like the luge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Could be interesting tomorrow because it's supposed to be a high of 18 tomorrow, and I've got a vet appointment for one of my cats. He's got the sniffles or something, and so he's probably going to give it to everybody else in the house. So I'll get him checked out tomorrow, but it could be a curious drive down the driveway.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And we have Brandon 95. How are you, sir?
Doing good, George. Big fan. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Where are you at?
New Jersey.
Where do you live? All right. Whereabouts? What exit?
I'm by North Bergen. You know North Bergen?
I sure do.
The northernmost east point, right across the Hudson.
Yeah. Know it well. That's something that there's a lot of people who didn't realize what I just said. When someone says they're from New Jersey, you always ask what, because New Jersey's this long state with the New Jersey Turnpike. So you ask people, oh, what exit? Like, I'm from New Jersey. Oh, really? What exit? So.
Yeah, and it's like you got north, the center, and south, and it's like they're all their own state.
Yeah, they are. They are. And it's a shame that, like, wasn't there a show called Jersey Shore at one point? I don't even know if it's still around, but that, like, when it just, like, ruined it for everyone who lived in New Jersey, because it was just, like, such idiots on that show. Yeah. And it just represented such a horrible cross section of New Jersey.
Yeah, it shows you, like, this little minute, very inaccurate representation of everyone who lives here. But everyone knows someone from New Jersey, in my experience. Whenever you say I'm from Jersey, everyone's like, "Oh, my cousin's from Jersey. My uncle's from Jersey. I have a relative somehow, somewhere, someone has a connection to New Jersey."
Yeah,
I think my wife actually has cousins from there too. Sorry to interrupt.
You got cousins in New Jersey?
My wife is actually Polish. Her side of the family, she has cousins. So her father's brother, one of her father's brothers, emigrated to the U.S. and they left Poland. And he's in I think a city called Lido, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Lido, New Jersey. You ever heard of it? Lido, something like that.
No. I have not. Sorry, I have not.
Apparently, it's close to New York. It's close to New York State.
Okay.
What's it called again? Sorry.
Lido. I think it's Lido. I can't remember how it's spelled, but they came up to visit when we got married just over 10 years ago. They came for the wedding. Yeah. And I've been there to New Jersey once, just to the coast, the Wildwood, New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
The coastline. When I was a kid with my parents, we went. I think it was about 9 or 10 years old for a few days. And that was really nice. Yeah.
Excellent. Bryant is with us from the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. Bryant, just click the link, the StreamYard link, and come on. Bryant, I may have told you guys about him. A special weapons and tactics kind of guy. Kind of a well, I guess we're going to hear some stories from Bryant. So I'd love to hear some stories. But yeah, he was a kind of a what would you call it? Kind of a SWAT team kind of a guy, special forces, that kind of thing. But he'll be joining us in just a second here. So just click the StreamYard link and let's see. And Bryant Halstead is in the house. How are you, sir?
Good evening. I am well, thank you. How are y'all?
And Bryant
Doing good, man.
In the house. How are you, sir?
Good evening. I am well, thank you. How are y'all?
I need someone to turn down the YouTube volume. And we won't get feedback. There we go. That's all right. So Bryant, I did a horrible job of introducing you. I know you have a background that's pretty badass. I mean, I've got 2 of your books. You got a great podcast. You're doing great things with that podcast. And but tell the folks about your background. I know I didn't do it justice.
Well, I thank you for that. And badass is very subjective. So we'll just say I'm a Marine. I don't use the term former Marine because once you are, you are.
Right.
I'm just not on active duty anymore. That kind of goes without saying. I'm a little outside the grooming standards. But Marine Corps, and then from there went into law enforcement. Worked for a local law enforcement agency for about 15 years, and then decided it was time to go and do other things. So now podcasting is one of them. Sales is another, and just enjoying life with my family and grandchildren and my brothers that I ride motorcycles with.
Nice. And
George, I see Peg on here, and I gotta give Peg a shout out because she is a regular viewer of our podcast and always offers an in-depth summary of what she's seen. And thank you, Peg. I appreciate it. I look forward to reading what you're going to say about it every time. So I appreciate that.
Thank you for what you guys do. I really appreciate it. And I wish more people would subscribe or listen in, because you cover so many wonderful topics and I equated it to listening to people, really good guys talking around the campfire. And I feel like I'm eavesdropping at times, but yes, so valuable. So valuable.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Of course, George has been a guest.
Peg, I feel the same way about his podcast, and I would just ask everybody who is watching this to subscribe to the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. And you do it once a week, is it?
Yeah, once a week. We it posts Wednesday morning. We record Monday nights, and then it goes up on Wednesday morning.
Gotcha.
I know, so we can catch those commuters.
Well, it's funny because I'm usually just finishing up my reading as it uploads, and I'm probably one of the first people to watch it. I think because I get the notification that early. So yeah, definitely. And I agree with you about Peg. I always look forward to what Peg has to say. The comments are, I have got friends who watch my channel who aren't like big YouTubers, who have said to me, "Who is that Peg?" They're always looking forward to Peg. So, Peg, do not disappear, please.
No,
there's people that expect you.
Yeah,
I appreciate so much what you bring and share. That I hope people don't get tired of me making comments or enhancing in my own way what it means to me, in an effort to perhaps help others.
And it's working. I can tell you that. Good. It's working.
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, Peg.
No doubt.
Yes, John.
You should have the song Peg from Steely Dan as your intro.
That'd be funny.
I should have that on a soundboard, and as she comes on, I should probably put that on. That's right. Mm-hmm. Oh, that would be hilarious.
I do like Steely Dan.
Good intro.
Yeah.
So glad you're feeling better, John. Got your humor back.
Yes. Thank you. And you guys talking about New Jersey. The only thing I know about New Jersey I learned on The Sopranos. Which makes New Jersey in a better light than
the Jersey
Shore
we're
talking about.
Shore.
Yeah, right.
Most certainly does.
I wound up going to New Jersey once for a work trip with the lowest expectations you could possibly have and dread. And I'll tell you what, New Jersey and New York, my trip into New York City, greatly changed my perspective on people and how cool they can be if you just give people a shot and you don't prejudge it. So I had a good time. We had a lot of fun.
I love Jersey. South Jersey, I will tell you, has some of the best produce I've ever had in my life, the best corn. You want Jersey tomatoes, you want Jersey peaches. That sandy soil just creates crops like you've never seen. I mean, I will just make a trip over the bridge just to get tomatoes and corn.
Well, they are the garden state, I believe.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, when you fly over South Jersey, you think you're, flying over Midwestern farm country. It is literally, you just see farms. It just going on forever. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Ian Simmons, thank you for the super chat.
It's funny how places can surprise you. There's a conception or misconception in your head, and you go out and you go through the different areas of a state. It's like Texas. You can go out to West Texas, and if that's all you ever see of Texas, you're going to think it's tumbleweeds and Gila monsters and pick 'em up trucks and everything. You go to Dallas, you go to Houston, they're large urban metropolitan areas. You go down to the Rio Grande, and our produce down there is fruit.
Okay.
You know, the melons, and we have the Vidalia onions, and we have the Fredericksburg peaches, and
nice,
all that. And where I thought New Jersey was called the Garden State because of all the mob guys planted, watching The Sopranos.
Yeah, right.
John's back.
I'm just saying, you watch that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching the TV show Dallas and getting that impression.
Right. That's funny. That is funny. All right, I got to pick out a. I think I'm going to have Old Joe Krantz tonight, and let's see if I can handle a pipe tonight. I'm just amazed how I just lose my desire for a pipe after, having a cold or a flu or something. I just had zero desire for it. So we're going to see how this works tonight. So, hey,
so
Brian,
I can fire up a pipe too?
You can, of course you can.
Absolutely.
Of course. Brian, did you ever kick down a door?
Yes, I have done said activity a few times.
Okay. Now,
I spent a little bit of time on a tactical team, so we got to do some interesting things like that.
Yeah. What is the scariest part of police work? What would you say? Like, I watched that YouTube channel called Police Activity.
Violence
and
response.
It's terrifying.
That's an interesting question. I'd say for me, in my recollection, I've been out of it now longer than I was in it, but it was always having to deal with a kid with a gun. Adults, for the most part, tend to evaluate the consequences and so on before they take action. Kids, not so much, and it is a completely unpredictable situation. So, unfortunately, never personally had to deal with it, but that was something that was always kind of in the back of my mind that I didn't want to have to deal with.
Brian, when I was an investigator, I had to go into the projects a lot down in Houston, as an example, into what we call the wards, and the teenage kids scared me more. The teenage gang kids scared me a lot more than the older ones, because the young ones have no fear. And they scare me a lot. And I guess as a general rule, and a lot of the patrol officers I've talked to and knew, a domestic disturbance call was always top of the stress mark. Oh, look at you, Peg. You got
that. Nice.
All right.
Very cool.
Awesome. I'm missing out. I got to join the club.
Yeah,
come on, Rob. Catch up.
That's great.
Yeah, I hear
smoking, Peg.
It's some really super dry old Captain Black.
Is that what you grow out back? That looks like.
No.
Oh,
no,
okay. I'm sorry.
Here we have one question from Robert Hawkins. What would be good counter SWAT tactics for people like Australians? Oh, I just feel so bad for all the Australian followers that I have. I hear it. I hear it from people who are getting their doors kicked down. People who are getting stopped. Things are really getting rough in Australia right now.
George, they have camps that they put people in. And
isn't that crazy?
Like these some teenagers escaped, and they ran them down like they were fugitive prisoners.
Right. Isn't that crazy?
And you know, you think of Australia, you think of putting another shrimp on the Barbie and big knives and alligator wrestlers and gorgeous tan blondes, and now look at them. Jesus Christ, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
It's not much better here, to be honest with you. I feel like we're
not in camps yet.
Canada's about a step away. I think we're next. It's
yeah.
I don't know. See, I think the big difference is we're armed.
In the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S. we're armed.
Absolutely.
Rob, I'm sorry, you're in Canada.
Yeah, I'm in the Toronto area, so it's
sorry.
It's been pretty challenging. It's been now they're talking about, I'm in Ontario, so they're talking about there was something that went on the news today saying that they're gonna maybe start loosening restrictions come the end of January, allow sit-in dining in restaurants and stuff like that again, because currently we're actually in a lockdown the last 2 weeks. Kids were home doing online learning. They returned to school today, but it has been just unbelievable, and it's the rhetoric. The thing that strikes me the most is the rhetoric that's picked up from the politicians, just the Justin Trudeau, the prime minister, and some of the other politicians, the very dangerous type of language that they're using with regards to the unvaxxed.
Look at the language Biden puts out.
Yeah.
It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
It's incredible. I don't know if you saw that statement that they released from the White House, where they said, look forward to a winter of death and destruction for your family if you're unvaccinated. I mean, that is
what the heck?
I mean, imagine if the Trump administration had he would have been impeached. Both sides of the aisle would have seen to it that he would have been out of office if he would have.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh no, the media's rolled over.
Yeah,
it's as clear.
Yeah,
they're exposed now.
Yeah.
We see the emperor has no clothes.
Brian, how about that governor of yours?
Yeah, I tell you, man, it's a blessing to see the changing of the guard there. Of course,
amazing.
They're coming out of the gate after him, though, and because he stirred up a little controversy with the decision to make masks optional in schools and so on. But that's to be expected, right? Because that's how that operates. You don't like it, you start throwing a fit about it.
That's right.
But I was having a moment, George, and I just wanted to share this with you. I'm just sitting here thinking that, a little over 5 years ago, I found your channel and started watching your channel for beard care, and now to this, pretty cool.
Wow. I remember when you came in. Yep,
you gave me a little cleaning up before my daughter's wedding.
That's right. As a matter of fact, I got to give you a little shout out, Bryant, because I know that you have stood in front of people on a stage and have done motivational speaking, and people don't know that, and we got to let them know that. So if anyone is looking for a great speaker, you got to check out Bryant. First of all, you got to subscribe to his channel, which is the Graybeard Chronicles. But anyone who's looking for a speaker for a conference, a convention, any kind of workshop or seminar, your books you just have great books. They're just solid. They're solid. Yeah. And you ride motorcycles.
Yeah, not been doing a whole lot of that in the last few weeks, though. The weather's operating.
Tell everybody what the name of your motorcycle club is.
It's called Strength and Honor, and we're a brotherhood of first responders and military personnel. So everybody, with the exception of a small percentage that we may allow that are like-minded, everybody is either current or former police, fire, EMS, and military. or some fit in all of those categories.
Excellent.
Well,
we got another New Jersey guy here, Russell from New Jersey.
Hey,
goes by the name Watcher.
Hey, what's up, Russell?
Hey, Russell. And to echo what somebody said earlier about New Jersey, I think it was Sasquatch that might have said this, but I really didn't have a good or bad opinion about New Jersey, but I'd heard people say that New Jersey, stay away from there. But I got to tell you, talking about my motorcycle club, I've met a bunch of people from New Jersey, and we have a bunch of brothers that are in New Jersey, and I've been there several times. Been to like Belmar and along the shore. Man, the place is absolutely gorgeous, and the people are outstanding. So I'm glad I met them. And I'm glad they're in my life. Good stuff. But I know what you're saying about the exit thing, because that's what they always ask one another. What exit?
What exit are you from? So, all right. So the Strength and Honor Motorcycle Club is a multi-state club.
It is. Yeah, we are we're the mother chapter here in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and we've got several chapters up and down the eastern seaboard. One out in Texas, but most of them are along the East Coast.
Bryant, what's a nice thing to do on the motorcycle? Ride down to Corpus and go to Port Aransas, and you can actually ride out on the beach. And you can, for like $16, you get a pass. You can camp for 3 days on the beach. Build a bonfire unless there's a fire warning or something. But normally you can build a bonfire out on the beach and do some fishing and hang out, and then ride on down to Mexico. Go flip into Mexico, have a little fiesta down in Mexico, roll back out.
Nice.
I
have to talk to my brothers down in Texas about that and see if they've done any riding down in that area.
I did a long time ago. I had a BMW R100 RS. The last year they did the opposed twin. And I bought it in Scotland, oddly enough. I was working over there. You were talking about like cold, and if you waited for a nice day to ride in Scotland, you waited a long time.
Yeah, the cold I don't mind. We'll ride in any temperature. It's the traction that I have concern about, and ice on the roadways and so on.
Yeah. And in Scotland, you get sheep poo on the road. That's exciting.
Yeah.
You come around a corner and some guy's got a herd of sheep out there. Oh, boy.
Nice.
Mutton for dinner.
Whereabouts in Scotland were you?
Aberdeen. I worked in the offshore oil rigs. And so I lived in Aberdeen, Fort William, Forfar. And when I first got there, I lived outside of London in Essex. Just outside of London.
So that must have been a fantastic experience, I would think, huh?
It was during the 80s. The 80s was a fantastic experience. In my mind, that's one of the last great decades we had.
Yeah.
Where it was kind of free and open and a lot of stuff going on.
Daniel Freeman, where in the world are you right now?
Colorado Springs. It's just under 20 degrees flat, but with the wind chill, it's probably more like 10 degrees.
Holy cow!
Ooh,
wow.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
but if I want to smoke, it's got to be outside. So here we are.
Yeah, right. That's
now, Daniel, if my memory, if my memory serves me correct, were you interested in going into like the forestry service?
Yeah, wildland firefighting. Good memory.
Right. Okay. That's who I thought. That's who I thought you were. Excellent.
It's been a little while.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, that was about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
That was in the fall,
Which
I believe.
I'm glad I'm out of the job I was in during that period because that was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, in the chat, we have Alan Harrelson, Dr. Alan Harrelson, who is the proprietor of Old Carolina Pipe Cottage. He is in South Carolina. Sir, I'm going to put up a link for you, and I want you to join us. Do you guys remember Alan Harrelson?
Mm-hmm.
I did a program with him.
Yeah.
And he had probably one of the fastest growing pipe and pipe tobacco companies I've ever seen. I mean, it's just amazing. And the YouTube channel, I think he's got 3,000 people already. It's just starting to blow up. That's pretty
great.
cool.
Quality content too,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is, definitely.
Yeah, in fact,
Yeah,
this pipe that I'm smoking is based off a recommendation that he made.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was talking about Peterson Spigot 106, and he did a review on some Peterson pipes, and this was one of the ones he was showing, and I was kind of drawn to it, so it was an excellent recommendation. Oh,
nice. I know. I'm definitely, I'm not a huge aromatic guy. I just like Virginias and Burleys and English blends, but not a lot of like flavors and such. And he keeps talking about this apricot and cream or something like that. And I'm just gonna have to break down and get some because it just, it sounds pretty smooth.
Yeah, he's a big English guy too, so if he likes that as well, it may be something you definitely like.
Yeah, he's going to be starting a virtual pipe club soon, and I'm pretty excited about that. And they're going to be talking about books and history, and he was telling me that a lot of people write him and they don't want to talk about pipes. They want to talk about history and such. And, well, he's a scholar, of course. I mean, if you've ever tuned into his channel, it's just definitely, I'm not the smartest man in the room whenever I talk to him. So it's nice.
I love listening to him. Just the tone of his voice and so on. I swear, if I close my eyes, I feel like I'm watching like a Civil War movie or something.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, he recommended a book. I guess it was maybe over the weekend about the South, and how the South is one of the most misunderstood regions of the country. And I'm a sucker for a good book. And I'm going to have to get that book. If he recommended it, I'm going to have to get it. And it definitely sounds like a good fire up a pipe and read away kind of book.
Mm. Which he was a professor, wasn't he, at a university? Am I representing him?
Oh, yeah. And there he is right now, Dr. Alan Harrelson. How are you, sir?
I am doing fine. How are you?
Excellent. Thanks for joining us. Definitely.
I'm trying
do
to
quite
get
the
this
intro.
thing to work properly. I'm hearing an echo, and so I'm trying to figure out what's going on my
Check
end.
your volume, Dr. Hanson.
Okay. Let's see what's going on here. I am not a technological whiz by any means.
No mistaking what part of the country you're from.
No, sir. I suspect not. I don't try to hide that. We are very much proud South Carolinians where we are, and we're so glad to be in this state. It could be far worse. I can tell you that. It can be far worse.
Is it cold over there?
It is unusually cold this week. The weather today has been in the 50s, approached 60, but coming up this weekend, we are scheduled to have some snow, which is not unheard of in January, but it's fairly unusual for it to be forecasted 2 to 4 inches. And I'm not looking forward to that. I don't enjoy snow. If I wanted snow, I would move up north. And
Right.
but we'll get through it. This is the worst time of year for us. I mean, my wife and I, neither one enjoy this time of year. After Christmas, I'm ready for spring to come about.
Hey, Alan, you posted a book about the South, and you had said something about the South is a region that is just so misunderstood. What is the name of that book you were recommending?
The name of that book is Our Father's Fields, subtitled A Southern Story. It was written by Dr. James Everett Kibler, who has been a good friend of mine for 15 years. He taught literature at the University of Georgia for 45 years.
Wow.
And he's retired, and he lives on a 500-acre estate in Newberry County, South Carolina. And many people think that nobody lives in old houses anymore, and nobody lives an old-fashioned lifestyle. And this man doesn't have air conditioning in his house. He doesn't have a television. He doesn't have internet access. He reads books, and what he knows about what's going on in the world comes from his conversation with other people. And I envy that. He's not plagued by television and internet sources. And so he wrote that book in 1998. And it's a story of his home, the place that he bought where he now lives. It's a history of that particular place. And it's sort of through his postage stamp, he tells us about the broader story of South Carolina, and through South Carolina, the broader story of the South. And he reminds me of William Faulkner in that regard. So it's a good book, and I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to start a study of Southern culture.
That's great. I do have to say, I'm digging everybody's glasses tonight. Brandon's got a great pair of glasses. Peg always has a great pair. John's got a good pair. Brian, are those new glasses of yours?
Well, they're a few months old, but they're fairly new.
Okay. And I do have to say, and I've never said this. I was wearing plastic frames up until about 2 months ago, and Alan doesn't know this, but Alan, the glasses that you wear inspired these. I went looking online because I like the look of your glasses, and I have like 11 or 12 pairs of eyeglasses, and I just like switching them on and off and whatever. But the glasses that you have inspired these that I'm wearing here. So kind of a minimalistic kind of thing. I'm so used to wearing plastic frames that I love. But yeah, so I just came out and admitted that for the first time. You had an influence on my glasses selection.
I am glad to know I had some type of influence over you, Mr. Bruno. That's nearly unheard of. The only other time anybody's really ever mentioned these glasses to me is when I visited the Country Squire pipe shop in Jackson, Mississippi. John David Cole said something about it, and another gentleman in there enjoying a pipe with us had something to say. And before these, I wore the plastic lenses, and I grew very tired of them. They wouldn't hold up very well. So that's encouraging. I'm glad to know that you enjoy the glasses, sir.
I want to let everybody know now. Right now, your business is a virtual business. It's online, but you plan on doing something that's almost antithetical. When everybody's going online, you've got plans to open up an actual brick and mortar pipe and tobacco store.
Yes, sir. I started the online store to serve as a vehicle to make the brick and mortar more possible. I wanted to see basically whether I had what it took to sell pipes and to sell tobacco. And it has skyrocketed in the online atmosphere. And so if that's any indication about what's possible with the brick and mortar, I am very excited about that. And yeah, online and online business is really not my forte. I enjoy it for what it's able to do at the present time, but ultimately I would like to see people face to face and sell pipes to people and develop relationships with customers in a much better way. And I think many people across the board and different types of retail, different products, are doing much the same thing. Buying stuff online is going to grow old. People are going to want to return to a more face-to-face transaction with the items that they buy. And so I'm glad to be a part of that new process.
Well, I tell you, when you have your grand opening, I hope to be there. I hope to be there. And
me too.
If you do if you do some kind of meetup, I hope to attend sometime. And I'm just going to get as many people on my channel. We're all going to take a road trip. Peg's going to take a road trip to South Carolina. We're going to get everybody to go to South Carolina and visit the pipe cottage. I'm going to get Lindy to come on down. She's in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get everybody.
Yes, sir. We'll cook some barbecue. We'll have some drinks. We'll have some fine pipes for people to enjoy. It'll be a regular shindig, I can tell you that.
Some sweet tea.
Yeah, you've got to have that. And we hope to open in the fall, and that's a good time to visit South Carolina. Yes. The summertime can be a bit warm, but during fall, it's very, very pleasant. The landscape is at its prime. People are excited for the holiday season, just like everywhere else. And so it'll be here before you know it.
You know, I was thinking geographically, when I'm driving south from Philadelphia, where does the United States officially become the South? Would you say what would you say? Is Virginia considered, Bryant? I know you're in Virginia. Do you think the South begins in Virginia?
Part of Virginia. You got to get south of, I'd say south of Prince William County. So on 95, anywhere south of like exit 150, then you start to get into the South.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine lives in Richmond, Virginia, and he often tells me stories of how different the people are north of him versus south of him. Richmond it seems to be the cutoff point for a lot of people. And I remember years ago, I was in Northern Virginia on my way to DC to do some research. And I stopped at a restaurant not far outside of Alexandria, Virginia, and asked for a glass of sweet tea to go with my meal. They told me they did not serve sweet tea. I was aghast, taken aback. I said, this is supposed to be Virginia. And it wasn't. It was a suburb of D.C. And interestingly enough, the Mason-Dixon line is at the northern border of Maryland. I know many people from Maryland who identify as Southern.
Yes.
But certainly Virginia on the whole is still very much Southern. It's just that pocket around D.C. can be questionable at times.
Corrupted.
Amen to that.
Now,
yeah,
Alan is also an Airstream guy. Tell us about your Airstream. That's quite a commitment, having an Airstream.
Yes, it is. My grandfather enjoyed Airstream travel trailers, and when I was a boy, we would travel across the country, and he had a motorhome at the time. He dreamed of having an Airstream. And about a year before he died, I was probably 27, 28 years old. Went to the local Airstream dealership. He said, I want to buy an Airstream today. And so we walked into the dealership, and he found one that he wanted. And we went to the office to pay for it. And the salesman said, whose name do we put it in? And he said me, which was a great surprise. Grandpa bought the first Airstream that I owned. And it sort of as a parting gift. He knew he was on his way out, and he wanted me to be able to continue enjoy camping. And at the time, I didn't have any money to buy anything with. After my wife and I got married, we traveled the country for about 5 months in that Airstream. We sold it, and now we have a newer one that we enjoy traveling in. And there's nothing like it. If you've never waken up, if you've never experienced the morning time in an Airstream, you've missed out on a great American tradition.
Yeah.
You need to go work for Airstream.
No doubt.
Well, I don't know. That's
going back, right? For when I was a kid, they were fairly popular, but now that they kind of, I don't know if it was just I wasn't involved in that world, but it seemed like you didn't see as many of them. But now they seem to have made a resurgence.
Well, Airstream was the Cadillac of mobile home trailers. That was.
Oh yes.
What do you pull that with, Alan?
I pull it with the 2019 2500 Chevrolet Duramax diesel, and that's the truck of choice for me when I'm towing, and I don't have to worry about it at all. 80%, over 80% of all Airstreams manufactured since the 1930s are still on the highway.
Wow.
Think about that.
Wow.
That's
incredible.
American ingenuity at its finest. And they cost more, but you get what you pay for. Quality is highly, highly important.
I know where my parents
wife-
live. There's an Airstream park on the ocean, and they're not taking any other types of trailers. It's Airstreams. So it's silver bread boxes right on the beach.
Yeah, some people can get a little snooty about it, but they really are a quality item. And I wouldn't, if I didn't have an Airstream, I probably would not be camping. I would wait until I could get another one if I didn't have the one I had. But it's just, I believe in buying quality, things that will last a long period of time, that I don't have to buy over and over again. And that's what I enjoy about pipe smoking. I've never smoked cigarettes in my whole life. But when I buy a pipe, I plan on keeping it around until they put me in the ground. I don't buy just to throw it away a couple of years from now or to put it up for sale as an estate pipe. That pipe belongs to me and it becomes a part of my life. Same with any other item that I will buy. So, there you go. A little bit about Airstreams and pipe tobacco.
Well, I was telling the gang here that I'm going to have to break down and get me some of that apricot cream or whatever that tobacco that you're always talking about.
That's apricots and cream from Cornell and Deal, blended right here in South Carolina. Cornell and Deal, they have probably 200 or more blends in their portfolio. And many of them I do not like. The ones I do are the ones that I sell. And the apricots and cream was a recommendation to me by a friend I met on Instagram last fall. And I never heard of it, never tried it. And I was blown away by how simple the blend was, but how robust the flavor was. I mean, it's nothing more than black Cavendish, but it's cased with some kind of hocus pocus juice that they have at Cornell and Deal that is just phenomenal.
Focus juice.
I've had some hocus pocus juice, but It wasn't in pipe tobacco.
Yeah.
It's what you grow out back, right, John?
No,
Yeah.
it was a drink called Scrumpy, which is a rough apple cider. They serve out in southern England, and I was with some British naval boys, and they handed me some Scrumpy, and a pint later, I was admiring the wood grain on the floor.
Doesn't take much, huh?
Do you know how they make it? Because I've had distilled apple cider, so I'm kind of curious.
I don't know. It's hocus pocus juice, man. It's like moonshine with apple bits and pig bits and God knows what else they throw in it. And you usually see it in milk cartons because it's illegal. They won't sell it in the pubs. And
that makes more sense.
These guys whipped it out from under the table and said, "Here, Yank, try this."
Right.
Yeah, I've not been to England, but I have been to Ireland, and I mentioned this in a video we did on our YouTube channel. I got off the plane at the Shannon Airport in Ireland, and the first native I encountered called me a Yankee, and I took great offense at that. I failed to realize that anybody from America is called Yankee in Ireland.
Yeah,
and
right.
so I had to educate this particular Irishman on the nomenclature problem that I had noticed in his conversation.
There's fighting words.
That's basically what I said. And I didn't know either that if you go to a pub in Ireland and you're offered a drink, you are expected to repay the favor by not only buying a drink for the person who paid for yours, but for the entire party, whoever else is with that particular person. So Ireland was very expensive, but it was just amazing. I didn't smoke a pipe at the time. I would love to go back and visit the Peterson factory in Dublin and get to know some of the people who smoke pipes in that part of the world. We have many people who watch our YouTube channel who comment from England and Ireland, and hopefully in the near future we'll get to where we can sell to customers over there.
Alan?
Yes.
No.
If you go over to the UK in London, you have to go to Davidoff Cigars. It's one of the old. It is the oldest cigar shop in London. Family owned, and they sell cigars and tobacco.
Well, I'll tell you what. The Davidoff name is, of course, I know the Davidoff name, and I've heard other people mention this store. I recently started selling Davidoff pipe tobacco, their flake medallion. That is by far superior to Escudo, in my opinion. If you want a Virginia Perique flake medallion, Davidoff has got Escudo beat by a long shot. They know what they're doing with pipe tobacco just as well as cigars.
Interesting.
And
yeah,
they say that going into the store is quite the treat.
Yeah, I wish I could, but I'm not getting on a plane with the regulations that are required now. So it might be some time before I can go over the pond.
Right.
I'm thinking about, like, we should have ship charters and we sail over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the way it used to be done. We don't even need a motor for that.
Well, it is advisable at certain times of the year. Trust me on that one. But
yeah, I've only been out in the ocean once with my grandfather, deep sea fishing, and needless to say, I didn't get to fish at all. I helped feed the fish, but
you were the official chummer.
That's right. I didn't enjoy that. No. But I would love to get to England. There's so much about England and the British culture on the whole that I admire and would like to experience in person. I've known people who have particularly been to rural England in recent years, and they say it's the most, the whole country is like a beautiful garden. The whole country is like that.
Well, I lived in Scotland. I lived in Scotland for 9 years. And I worked in the North Sea. I worked on the oil rigs out there. And as a young man, it was quite, I've been to sea, and it gets wild out there. If you would not fare well, possibly, but
yeah.
Scotland.
Yeah, it would be good to visit over there.
Scotland is like Texas with an accent.
Oh.
The people are just misplaced Texans with an accent. Very friendly. And now you talk about like your first trip into Ireland. Here I was, 19 years old. I land in Aberdeen, Scotland. It's December. I'm going to work. I go into a bed and breakfast. It's a company bed and breakfast. All the divers and everything stay there. And I go to a room, and two guys from Houston go, "You're that new kid from Texas. Come on in. We're from Houston. Bunk in with us." So I throw my bags down and go, "We're getting ready to go out drinking. Come on." And I'm like, "I got to go. I got a 6 a.m. call." And he goes, "Oh, hell, don't worry about it. Jet lag. Come on." And I got my cowboy hat, my leather jacket, my oil field trash belt buckle, my lizard skin boots. I'm ready to go out partying in Aberdeen, Scotland. And they take me to one of the roughest pubs in the UK. It's in the top 5. It's called the Yard Arm. It's down on the docks. And they say, "Hoover, go on in. Get us some beers up on the bar. We're going to go down the street and grab some smokes. We'll catch right up with you." No worries. I walk in there, big Scottish barmaid, "What do you have, love?" And I said, "I need 3 beers." "Right. What kind would you like?" And I said, "What do you have?" "Well, we have Tennant's and this and McEwen's and da-da-da." Not a clue. I said, "Do you have any like Lone Star, Budweiser, Coors?" And she grabbed me by the collar of my jacket, slammed me down, slammed me down onto that bar and says, "Look, boyo, we don't drink none of that Yank sissy piss in this pub. Now, what are you going to have?" And I pointed at something, and I'll say 3 of those. Pints or half pints. And I'm like, "Ma'am, this is a lot of work to get 3 beers on a bar." And just then someone walked up behind me and goes, "Where are you from?" "Texas." Anyway, long story short, I come flying out the front door, and the guys are standing out there going, "3.5 minutes. You're the friendliest guy we've had here." And
interesting.
I'm bleeding and laying in the gutter in the snow and the sleet, and they just walk off laughing, And that was my first night in Aberdeen. Welcome to Scotland.
Welcome to Scotland.
We don't drink none of that Yank sissy piss in this pub, boyo.
Sissy piss. Hey, Brandon, what are you smoking tonight?
Autumn Evening in a rat trace faction pipe.
Nice.
Thank you. Green.
I like rat trace. Nice. Excellent.
Got it. Goes with the story.
Yeah, Autumn Evening has that's a big seller. A lot of people like that. You could probably sell that by the pound to a lot of people every day of the week, and for good reason. It's perhaps the best aromatic that C&D has on the market right now. How long you been smoking a pipe, sir, Brandon?
A year probably today, ironically enough. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I bought a corn cob about 3 years ago, smoked it on and off, didn't really like it because I stumbled across George Bruno's channel. And then 2 years later, I don't know why I had the urge just to like get back into it. And I started, researching the better brands, and it gets very addictive, but not like smoking it, if not acquiring them. It's kind of like, what do people call it? Pipe acquisition disorder.
Yeah.
You buy one and you love it, and then 3 weeks go by and you're like, well, that one looks nice. Why am I on this website again? And you just keep buying pipes. Like, it's weird. It's weird, but it's a really a lovely hobby.
Yeah, pipe acquisition disorder is a very serious disease. It is contagious. So I think most all of us can relate to that.
Yeah.
Oh yes. If you go the cheaper end, though, you just buy estate pipes, and that's how you fill the urge.
Yeah,
right.
It's funny though. Like there was a point where I didn't even have any tobacco, and I was just buying pipes. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to smoke out of these things? And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to take a little break from the acquisition of pipes, and then I started getting into the more blends. I do like English more, but since I'm in the house and I never smoke in the house, this is the only passable thing that can be smoked within these four walls. So
right.
I think Cornell and Deal misnamed that tobacco though. It's one of the first aromatics that I started smoking regularly, but I've kind of been drawn more to Englishes since then. But I personally renamed it. I call it Breakfast at Grandma's because it just smells like a big, steaming stack of buttery pancakes with some nice syrup on them. Yeah, it's delicious.
They hit the nail on the head on that with that one. Really good.
Nice.
And also, I will say that with this blend, after you're puffing on it for a while, at least for me, there comes a distinct time where it's like, okay, even if there's more in there, it gets bitter, and that it has a really nice cutoff time, if that makes sense. Like where you smoke it, it tastes great, and then there will be a particular puff that's just bitter or nasty, and then I'll know I'm like, okay, this is enough of this bowl at least. Yeah. When you have to repack it.
Interesting. Hey, Rob, now you are starting a company. Why don't you tell us about your company?
So basically the company is called Vitanomy. So the concept that I came up with, I amalgamated the words vitality and autonomy together. Vitanomy is basically, the concept is around promoting a lifestyle with more autonomy. I guess, for in today's day and age where people are so kind of caught up in being so dependent on everything, being part of the rat race, being, quote unquote, caught in the matrix. I was kind of looking for, I had this idea for quite a while, and wanting to focus basically on personal betterment of an individual in general. So this is kind of all encompassing. And what I really want to do is hopefully through social media kind of, have some sort of an online community that I can kind of grow with and potentially maybe put out some literature, some ebooks, do some research on various topics, maybe interview some people in various genres that are kind of subject matter experts, get more information from them. And that's basically kind of what it's structured around. I'm also doing, in the process of doing online arbitrage through Amazon. And so once that gets going, I'm just kind of doing a book part to it right now with used books. But once that gets going with other types of products, I'm hoping that my product lines as well can focus on those areas as well. So actually I have a list here. I'll tell you some of the stuff that, some of the areas that's focusing on. So with regards to personal betterment, some of the areas would be like diet, obviously taking care of yourself through diet, what you eat, having a more kind of a healthy lifestyle, focus more on exercise for people, getting in shape, strength training, but also, losing weight, getting leaner. The importance of sleep. This is one thing that's always plagued me for years. I'm a terrible sleeper. I have a lot of trouble getting to sleep on time. I'm a night owl, and I very much have to get better in that area. And then meditation and prayer as well. So they're different, but they kind of go hand in hand in ways too. So meditation is something that I kind of want to get into myself. Just having that ability to kind of sit back and relax and collect your thoughts and be at peace with yourself for a while, especially in today's day and age where we're hit with so much dopamine on a constant basis through social media and electronics and everything else. There's very few times that a person actually has an opportunity to kind of sit in silence and just gather their thoughts and be at peace with themselves. I know George talks a lot about this through his channel as well, right? So I think that's very important, but also prayer, regardless of whether or not a person is spiritual or what religious denomination they belong to. I think all religions kind of have principles and tenets about them that are very useful to people, that give them hope, that provide a moral framework for them, especially in times of when people kind of experience setbacks in life or things that tragedies. I think that's very important, especially what we've dealt with in the last couple of years here with COVID. There's been so much social isolation and whatnot, and I think that having that prayer is very important to give people hope and kind of keep them going. Another area that I'm hoping to explore is expanding your knowledge base. So literature, talking to people that are writing books in different areas, learning about different skills, competencies. One of the things that I feel my generation, I'm a millennial, I just turned 40, that we lack, a lot of us lack basic just life skills, things that working with our hands and stuff that, let's say, our parents' generation or grandparents' generation had. And I think a lot of that had to do with the emphasis on, I know with my family came to Canada originally from Italy. So my grandparents are all from Italy, all four of them. And my father was born there, came over at the age of 5. And I think a lot of the sort of the emphasis was always on, go to school, get educated, and make money so that you don't have to kill yourself in construction or working with your hands the way that we did. And, that was, I think, honorable that they had that intention. They wanted a better life for us and whatnot. But I think over time, over the generations, we lost a lot of knowledge and know-how that I think would have been very beneficial to us today. In many areas, I think just in terms of being able to do things for yourself around the house, if you want to do renovations and whatnot, you can save a lot of money, but it's also I think something that makes you a man. And I think that's something that we lack. That's something that I think all of us can get better in those areas. So, and then some of the other areas, growing your own food, that's been something that I've always been interested in. And again, I think in times like today, I think that's very important to be able to have even something as small as, I was speaking to George about this, as small as having something like an herb that you grow. It doesn't have to necessarily be you have a full-out garden in your backyard, or that you buy a greenhouse, or that you move to a farm and homestead. It could be something very small, and you can kind of go from there. Everybody's got different, living arrangements. Some people live in condominiums or apartments, so they don't have an outdoor space, or a very, limited outdoor space. Stockpiling of food for emergency, I think, is important as well. Goes in with that. You should always have a little bit more on hand in times of crisis. And then some of the, investing in yourself, I think, was another area as well. So one of the themes, I think, of George's channel as well is always nonstop learning. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself in terms of courses, in terms of coaching sessions, in terms of getting in touch with people that are very knowledgeable in different areas, that have life skills, competencies, that can teach you things, and also have the connections to a broader community of people that you can kind of network with. I think that's very important. And I think sometimes people are hesitant to do that because sometimes there's an expense involved and whatnot. And But at the same time, not doing it, can tend to be very expensive in itself, right? You sit back, you waste years of your life not expanding your knowledge base, not doing things to make yourself more marketable and more knowledgeable. That could be very expensive for you. Another area that I'm want to explore through this journey is cryptocurrency. So I am a cryptocurrency investor. I've been investing in it for about since 2017 now. And I think that that's also a growing area that's expanding every day. It's a great area to be able to accumulate wealth in, source of revenue, especially for young people, I think, in today's day and age that are looking for options to be able to expand their wealth. You look at real estate; it's very expensive in a lot of urban areas. The stock market, there are some good buys and whatnot, but are you going to get rich off it? Probably not, unless you have a whole ton of money to invest to begin with. So conventionally, there's not really a lot of areas where you can accumulate a lot of wealth in a short period of time. I think that crypto kind of gives people and provides people that option. So that's something that I want to explore as well, and I'd love to speak to people that are in the space as well. And then to go along with that, maximizing your income. So looking for ways where you can potentially, let's say, put together various revenue streams for yourself, multiple sources of income. I think it's, especially in today's day and age and what's happened with COVID, I think that's very important. A lot of us are in positions right now where we have to make a decision, even with jobs and whatnot, with vaccine mandates and all sorts of other things. And it may not even be that. It's just the way that things are going, even with automation going forward. A lot of jobs in the next 5, 10, 20 years are going to be eliminated. So I think it's important to always have different streams of revenue for yourself so that no matter what happens, you can pivot, you have options open to you and whatnot. So that's kind of what I'm working on. What I want to do eventually is kind of start up, and I've actually just set up a Twitter account for it, but start up a newsletter on a weekly basis that I send out and have an email list of people that want to sign up to my or follow me on Twitter. And that would go out on a weekly basis to them, and I could follow, kind of cover a variety of these topics. And I'm considering at some point, like I said, setting up a YouTube channel where I can maybe connect with some people that are subject matter experts in these various areas and interview them. I'm also a very good writer. I've always enjoyed writing, and so there's the opportunity to maybe through Amazon even publish some Kindle books in some of these various areas. I'm actually working on an ebook right now that kind of just delves a little bit more in depth into what this concept is and provides a little bit of background in each of the areas. And I'm hoping to drop that probably within the next few weeks. But I think that's kind of where I'm going with it right now. But I think it's a concept that has legs, and I'm hoping that it'll be successful in 2022. And if anybody wants to follow, the Twitter account right now is Vitanemy @Vitanemy. So it's VITAN, like Nathan, OMY. So it is, again, the words vitality and autonomy combined.
Cool. Nice.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Excellent. Hey,
Can
Peg.
I chip in? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Get your organic tomatoes ready to throw at me. I am not a fan of cryptocurrency. And through my field of study at university, which was economics, what I see cryptocurrency eventually doing is undermining the currency of nations.
Mm-hmm.
By coming in with this alternative currency. Now, I understand it's attractive. I understand why people want to do it. But if you undermine the currency of a nation, you will put that nation on its knees.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because what is currency? Field of barter, but it's also the end promise of a day's labor. since we're not on a barter system. Okay? Why do you get up in the morning and go to work? To make money. Okay? Now, having said that, that's why I'm not a big fan of crypto. Okay? Unless our economy, unless we change our currency to a cryptocurrency, which if you think there are regulations surrounding paper currency and traditional transactions, wait till the government gets hold of crypto.
I think that is a major. There are some major concerns. There's no doubt about it. I think.
I'm just saying, as an old fart sitting here,
yeah,
an old moss back,
yeah,
okay, and we want to make America great again. We want to reverse what's going on. We want to get back to traditional values. It's more than just moral values. It's the operation of the nation. Okay? The ship of state is no one's got their hand, or the cook's got his hand on the rudder and he don't know where he's going. Okay? In my opinion, at the moment. Okay? It's just a little political thing. But, and part of this is maintaining our sovereignty on our currency, because we are the world's reserve currency. We lose that status, you want to see things get ugly and quickly. That won't happen. That's all I'm saying. That's why I'm not a big fan of crypto.
I think what's going to happen over time is I think that the underlying technology that crypto's built on, blockchain technology, I think that's coming regardless of whether we want it or not. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to have digital currencies for each country, which is something that I am very concerned about. I agree with you.
Well, we do have digital currency in a respect, because we operate with bank wires, with credit cards, debit cards. I mean, how many people carry cash? A large sum of cash on.
Yeah. But I think what's going to happen is eventually, I don't think right now, but I think eventually the plan is the elimination of hard money altogether. And it's going to, with blockchain technology, I think it's going to give them a lot more opportunities to track every single transaction that anybody does.
But that will isolate the lower segments of society who are not technologically
which is and it's very worrisome, because, with that, especially with what we've seen with COVID and COVID passports and this and that, I think a lot of it is all connected. And
well, look at the online education. If you can't get online, you don't get an education.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in that you still have to have that physical aspect, no doubt about it. I think what's going to happen is I think it's going to run parallel. I think if governments were interested in killing Bitcoin and Ethereum, because this is something that you hear a lot out there all the time, is every time that because it's such a volatile space, right? Is the fear that governments are going to come in and kill that. I don't think they will, because I think if they wanted to, they would have done it already. I think that what's going to happen is it's going to run parallel. And there's going to be obviously, let's say, regulation that comes in around it. I think that's inevitable, like anything.
The Winter Olympics that are about to happen in China, they're using a crypto type currency for that Olympics. That'll be, interesting.
But the properties of some of the things like Bitcoin itself have are also desirable in the sense that it is a capped currency, right? So there's only going to be 21 million ever minted. So it's deflationary rather than inflationary. And I think that's a good, especially with what we see right now with our own currency in the face of inflation and the printing of money is very dangerous as well, right? So, but I don't think Bitcoin will ever be a traditional or sort of a rival to the U.S. dollar or currencies. I think, like I said, what's going to inevitably probably happen is that we're going to move to digital currencies in various countries, and Bitcoin and the crypto space will operate as something on the side. Basically, you could say Bitcoin is akin to digital gold, and Ethereum is kind of digital oil, right? And then the underlying technologies themselves, there's so many things that are going on in the space as well. Like there's NFTs that are being built, there's the metaverse, there's social tokens. If you look at a lot of the teams, the sports teams now in Europe, the soccer teams, in various countries, they all have their own social token that people can buy, and they can get perks for, let's say, buying tickets to games and events and merchandise and whatnot.
But when they buy it, what do they buy it with?
What do they buy? Usually they buy it either, there's a platform by the name of Socios that you can download on your phone.
No, do they buy it in currency? Do they buy it in crypto?
They buy it in currency, yeah, with currency. Yeah. And what else was I going to say? And I think also you're going to see this expand even into the music industry, entertainment, social tokens with regards to people that produce music, social tokens that with regards to people that produce all forms of art.
But see, the social tokens are currency.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they have value, and you can exchange them for something of value.
That's right.
And so you're in economics term, it's an externality. You're leaking out of the system.
Yeah.
Okay. And once again, that all plays into economics and how systems are. That's why I took economics, because it teaches you how systems work, as opposed to business administration, which just teaches you how to work for somebody, in my opinion. And so that's all I'm saying here is that's why I'm not a big fan of crypto.
Okay.
And
I do acknowledge
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what
there's
happens.
some valid concerns, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. I think it's going to still be volatile. There's going to be a lot of things that happen with it going into the future.
What do some of you others think about that? Am I way off base? Are my knuckles dragging on the ground? Do I need to put some
No, I was
Band-Aids
actually
on?
going to bring up the volatility problem, because it doesn't make sense as a day-to-day currency if it's something that constantly fluctuates in value. It's not a stable platform to base a society off of in its current state. It could totally change and improve upon that. But I also fear the mentality that goes into something completely digital. So there is a major push for credit cards and debit cards, because you're no longer associating a physical item with the purchase you're making. And so I know that was a huge push and why that grew, because now I don't have to think about it. It's not a physical regurgitation when I hand over $1,000 for something, So with crypto, you lose that entirely. It's no longer a physical representing your value. It's now just a digital version of that.
Yeah, when you pull out your fat stack and peel off 1,000 and watch your fat stack get a little thinner, that has sort of a little bit of a eye to hand to brain.
Oh, yes.
As opposed to just handing over the plastic and saying, "Oh, thank you."
I think it depends on what you're doing too, right? So, many times cash is still king.
Oh yeah.
You're dealing with local commerce and maybe I'll use like Facebook Marketplace as an example, or any kind of online thing where you meet somebody in person and purchase something. Cash is king, right? So you can get good deals on stuff.
Most definitely.
I also, in certain circumstances, I like the anonymity of cash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there are
you have to transfer it. See, we got all these rules. What is it? They wanted at one point, the idiots up in Washington were talking about like hiring a small army of IRS agents to monitor our bank accounts with anything over $600. Well, that's everybody, right? Pretty much. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And cash on. If you're able to keep a significant amount of cash on hand, just for the fear that something crashes one day and you don't have access to anything else.
Yeah.
It's also nice that it's instantaneous too.
You aren't making
Once
any
you have
interest
that dollar in
the
hand,
bank.
you have that dollar. You don't have to wait for some background service to take place in order for that money to transfer.
I think you ought to have a little cash in the house, a little silver in the house, a little gold in the house.
Yep.
That way if the currency goes south, let's say, the Great Depression Part 2 comes in.
Yep.
You got silver for buying things and gold for your life, as we used to say. You know,
take that one step further. I firmly believe that ammunition would also be a currency of the future.
True. Cigarettes and whiskey too, partner.
Yeah. I mean, really think about it. That goes back to, I don't know if you guys ever watched the series Jericho, but they lived in the middle of Kansas in this post-apocalyptic dystopian, and they had a giant salt mine. And they didn't really think they had anything to barter until everybody realized nobody was making salt anymore.
I got myself out of a tight jam in Pena for 3 packs of cigarettes.
Alan, do you have
and
enough tobacco to support us if our economy crashes? Keep our pipe tobacco.
If you've got a good supply of guns and ammo, then you can get pretty much anything else you need.
Yeah, but you got to have a gun for the ammo.
Right.
Isn't ammo really expensive today and really scarce across the nation?
It
What was that?
It's coming back.
Well, I heard that a lot of gun owners
Prices are
are
going
having
down.
difficulty finding ammo, and that if they do find ammo, it's like really expensive.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Especially any self-defense ammo that's like hollow points and whatnot. That is through the roof. You're paying a pretty penny for a small box of 20 rounds. It's insane.
It also depends on what circles you're running into, because if you run in any type of like a prepper circle or people who are in that, they were not buying ammo right now. They were buying ammo once it caught up, and it was 9 cents a round. Whereas right now you're looking at between 25 and 50 cents a round for the cheap stuff. These guys have got the high quality stuff stockpiled on the shelves.
Preppers win again, don't they?
Well, there's 3 words at point of sale that I've always gotten money with. Stick them up.
Yeah, right.
Right? At point of sale, you say stick them up. There you go.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I think you guys make some valid points. Now, have you guys ever heard of, or George has interviewed him as well? I know you're in contact with him sometimes as well. Is Piero San Giorgio, who's a prepper. He's probably the most famous prepper in Europe. He lives in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book. I actually own it. Actually, if you give me a second, I think I could pull it here. Hold on.
This thing, I've watched preppers, and they have like a semi-truck full of stuff. So when the apocalypse hits and it's nuked and meteors crashing and the zombies are coming and you got to beat feet out of there, how are you going to haul that crap?
So what he did was
you got to identify what you can take if you got to roll, right? You got to have your jump bag and shit ready to go, because you're right. You're not going to be able to take it all with you. But you have to identify, if I have to roll out, these are the things I got to take with me.
Yeah, what he talks
be
about
conscious of it too.
That he wrote is called "Survive the Economic Collapse." I don't know if you could see it here if I zoom out. He wrote this back, I think, in 2011, and he talks about actually a lot of the themes that I actually cover as well, which is so there's some overlap. But he also gets into the importance of having some gold on hand, silver as well, food. And his whole thing is he actually built what's called a sustainable autonomous base, which is kind of a farm that he has up in the mountains in Switzerland that he stays in parts of the year. And over there, it's basically fitted for everything. So he's got portable water. He's got his whole, I think, own electricity and heating system. He's got a full-off farm. It's quite incredible what he's managed to do. Obviously, it's probably far-fetched for the average person to be able to do all of that, but what he kind of tries to convey, I guess, in there is that there's elements that every individual can take from there to be prepared for, and it is quite interesting.
I think what's funny
about what you prep with too. Go ahead.
Exactly. I'm sorry about that. Back in, I think it was 2009, we were talking about ice earlier when we first logged into the show, but Missouri got 4 inches of ice pretty much overnight one time. And when you want to talk about an infrastructure going down, 4 inches of ice on overhead power lines takes out the entire grid. So towns in the more, not that anywhere in Missouri here is really super populated where I'm at. It's all rural farmland, but the people that were in town went about 9 days without power. And granted, it was cold outside. There was refrigeration, but there was no heat. So the interesting part of that was when we went through that, it's like, okay, which family member has got heat right now? Okay, we're going to go over there because they've got a wood stove. Other people were, complete strangers were letting people into their houses because they had heat. But the takeaway from that is it was insane to sit back and realize how many people did not have enough food or water, toilet paper, diapers for their kids, formula to get them through all, it was a little bit over a week before power started getting restored. In the case of my mom and dad who lived in the sticks, it was 28 days before they got power back.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, see, we had that in Austin last winter.
Yep.
And a lot of Texas. But here in Austin, in my house, we had no electricity and no water for a week.
Right.
I was melting snow in the bathtub to flush the toilet.
Exactly.
And the stores were empty because they couldn't get deliveries because the roads were messed up.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, we had enough food, and we had a gas stove, and you could run the stove a little bit, put a little heat in the house, and everything like that, and shut off the vents in the rooms that weren't in use. And it was okay. We got through. No worries. But it kind of reminded me that we do most urban people do just-in-time shopping.
Yes.
You look in the cupboard.
Absolutely.
Oh, we're out of this, this, and this. Someone trots off to the store, picks it up, comes back an hour later. Okay, we're good to go. 4 or 5 days later, you go do it again. Maybe you go to Costco once a week, and stock up, and
I think that's the problem, is that I think most of us have maybe a week or two's worth of stuff on hand. It's a good idea at least to stock up on non-perishables that could pull you through a little bit longer.
If I'm going to be without power and water down here in Austin for a week, I'm going someplace where there is. That has room service. Thank you very much. I'm on the road.
Get an Airstream.
I'm getting in that Airstream, and I'm going to the beach. I'm going to build a bonfire and eat fish and drink beer.
Nice.
Call me when it's all. Call me when the power's up. Okay.
I would think in Europe,
Right.
this is probably an even bigger issue, because over there, a lot of those countries there, it's people shop almost on a daily basis in these outdoor markets and whatnot. So if something like that should happen there, especially even with the space, a lot of people are in small flats and whatnot. It's pretty scary.
Yeah. No, and I was there during the Texas freeze, during the actual freeze portion, but then I immediately left for Colorado after that. I would have loved to have stuck around, gone into a Home Depot and see if there's any generators left, gone into grocery stores, and everybody, fear is a great motivator, and everybody was like, yep, we need this for the next time. Nobody
what I
expects it until
ended
it
up
comes.
doing is I had a 65-gallon water bladder that you can actually put it in a bathtub and fill it full of water when something like if you're a little ahead of the curve and you have 65 gallons of drinking water you can pump out of it. I put it in the back of my truck, ran out to my friend's house about 40 miles outside of Austin because they had water. Filled it up, came back, and I was letting myself and my neighbors have some water. And then I'd go back and do it again, and I kept shuttling back and forth and everything. And while the neighbor with the pool wouldn't let anyone get any pool water out to flush toilets or anything like that. Welcome to urban society.
Right.
So
the part of this that Rob's talking about that's most interesting to me is his discussion of agriculture, the importance of being able to do something with land, to produce from the land. Land is a source of capital.
Yes.
And there's a direct correlation between the rise of people who have lost autonomy, particularly in the United States, and the decline of an agrarian society. This wasn't a problem. All this stuff, it wasn't a problem years ago. I mean, you were an idiot if you had a farm and the smokehouse wasn't always full. It was the expectation. It was the expectation that you took care of your family in that manner. You didn't stock up on money. You stocked up on food supply.
Yeah.
And so for our family, what I have decided to do, the dream sometimes of the year, particularly now, is to get in the Airstream and just travel and not have to worry about anything else. But that's a little bit irresponsible. I like having a home base. I like to have a place where you have security. We produce most all of our own meat, the majority of our own vegetables. I just finished planting more fruit trees this afternoon. I had 2 milk cows until a month ago, and I got rid of those because you really cannot go anywhere if you have dairy animals. And most people around us think that we're absolutely nuts. But what we've done is we have turned this back into a working farm, which had been a working farm until the 1970s. So this is cultural preservation in one form, but it's also provided my family a sense of security. I don't have to worry about going to the grocery store every week or every month.
You are the grocery store.
That's exactly right. And so this country, at its own peril, left the land. There's been a back to the land movement in this country probably every 30 years for the past 120 years. And it never sticks because people don't realize that there's an understanding of land and an understanding of this particular lifestyle that has to go with that move, that decision that people make to go buy a piece of property and try to make a go at it. You've really got to know what you're doing. You need to study. Yes.
How much you think our movement from our family farms to industrial farm and livestock producers?
I have written that's almost what my entire dissertation was about, was the decline of small farming in this country, particularly from 1920 to 1960. That's where the seismic shift occurs.
Yeah.
My grandfather never talked about not being prepared, and he never worried about all the stuff that we're worried about now. First thing is faith taught him otherwise, and second thing, he always had the ability to take care of himself. If he had to go out into the woods and kill deer and pick blackberries to keep him and grandma fed, he had the ability to do that. But now we have pansies for men in this country, and they don't know how to do anything other than play video games and keep up with the latest sports activity, which frankly pisses me off. I don't have anything in common with most people my age because I don't care about things that people care about that are my age. The rise of industrial agriculture. I worked on a 1,200 acre row crop farm for 3 years to pay my way through my master's degree program. They produced corn, soybeans, wheat that got on a train and was shipped somewhere else. None of it was used on the farm. I had a massive amount of land. None of it was used for gardens. None of it was planted in orchards. None of it was used for livestock production to put food on the family table. It's completely backwards. We produce for the market, and that's the god of everything. And farming was never intended to be like that.
Well, when you consider how much of that is being exported to Russia and China, that really puts in perspective. It's not even being used in our own country.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And just like you said, to your point, I mean, the market drives. If the price is higher, if China's in demand to have rice or corn or soybeans, because that's where the market's driving it, and that's where it's going to go. Same way with the amount of oil we produce in our own country, and that's always baffled me a little bit. But he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
one of the books I'm about to put a video up on our YouTube channel, a book recommendation list for pipe smokers in 2022. One of the books I'm going to put on there is Wendell Berry's Unsettling of America, published in the 1970s. I don't agree with all of Berry's politics, but I think he was right at that moment in time in the 1970s, where he was fighting against the USDA, teaching all farmers that either you get big or you get out. There's still a place for small farming in this country, and most farms are actually small farms, and it needs to be a part of a diversified economy. I can't make a full-time living off of tending land, and I never intended to do that. But the food I put on my family's table by going out into the field and growing it is a form of wealth. Never think that wealth is always measured in dollars. That's a fundamental mistake. And so as long as I have the power to produce, for my family in that way, I'm very thankful for that, and I'll continue to do it. But
very well said. Hey, Peg Bell, you got some land?
Yes, I do.
What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm surrounded by farms and some open land, and my neighbors to the east of me have had their farm for probably 200 years. And when we first moved here 25 years ago, they had Jersey cattle and had a full-fledged dairy farm. And I remember going over one day, just neighborly and just chatting. It's like, oh, can I see your dairy barn? And she said, sure, come on in. And there's a section of the barn that had some milking stalls that were no longer in use. And I go, well, what about these? And she goes, well, over the years, because of selective breeding, the cows have gotten so much bigger they would no longer fit into those stalls. But and anyway, like back to farming and overall, I do think for many, generally, I think it's a lost art. I think for those that have been steeped in it, it is a way of living. It's a family value. It is just ingrained in their system. And much like what some modern society beliefs are, the college degree and who can win the most video games, or just taking their hands off the hands-on skills that are needed today and will be in the future. Can you put up a wall? Can you fix a hole in the wall? Can you do plumbing, electric? Are you familiar with, how to fix your vehicle, your tractor, how to troubleshoot what you can troubleshoot?
In a video game, I can.
And I think it's a lost art. But back to the land, you have to take care of it before it can take care of you. We have no control over what Mother Nature is going to bring or not bring to us. But that which we have power and ability and knowledge to enhance and make it richer for a healthier crop, besides like the GMO stuff, it's like we have to do in order to get the most bang per acre. I know that over the past several years, I had done sharecropping on our farm. We had pasture for the horses and alpacas and other livestock that we had. And after we'd sold all of our livestock, it kind of went into open pasture that all we did was mow. I mean, it looked like a golf course out there. And so then the neighbor next door, who I've known since he was knee high, he's now a grown man with a family. He said, Peg, why don't you let us sharecrop that for you? And they're, he lives next to me and his parents live next to him, so they could just like drive through the fields to get over. And what I found was that I did sharecropping for a good handful of years and got a pretty decent return on it. And he said, well, we'd really like to turn your fields into hay fields. They raise cattle. And I thought, well, that's a good idea. It's a crop that they can plant once and enhance it with fertilizer and all kinds of things. But for the most part, you plant it once and you can harvest it many, many times. Less tilling, less soil erosion, and it looks nice. But I found that I got far less money doing the renting my land than I did through crop sharing. So we're going to have to come to the table and reevaluate that some. But then too, they also have a maple syrup operation next door too, and they're interested in buying my land and so on and so forth. But I said no. Should I sell? I'm going to sell it as a whole, and whoever else buys it can do what they will. But it's a very good business for them. You know, they have. It's quite interesting. They have it looks like large IV lines running from trees to trees to trees to trees to a giant metallic tub, if you will, upside down looking tub that runs off of gravity and vacuum and takes the syrup back to the collection system. And then from there, they take it up to the sugar shack where they introduce the syrup to heat and reduce it and make their maple syrup products out of it. But that's another venture. But also in art, it's not everybody's going to know how to do that. I mean, I know some basic things, but would I be able to automatically know that 10 gallons of syrup, boiled down makes 1 gallon of syrup that we use on our pancakes? I wouldn't have known that right off the bat. But I do think, back to the subject of land, I think farming for many is a lost art, and there's something so gratifying that to see your crops come up. When you live on a farm, you're always you're a weather nerd. Is it going to rain, or just how the crops are going to do. If you plant something by seed, it's kind of like you want just the right amount of temperature, and the good Lord provide the rain, and not too much to make the seed rot or wash away. Come midsummer, droughts come, and depending on if you have 60 or 90-day beans, when they're going to get their prime harvest, or if they're going to really come to full fruition. And then corn requires a lot of water, and you're always watching like the leaves, like when they're going straight up, that they're dry, and then when they flail out, that's when they, it's like, oh, rain on me so I can drink it all up. But yeah, it's a lost art, and it really is a privilege to own land. It's a lot of work, but there's nothing quite like it. And speaking of land, I just have to say that I had never seen eagles on my property before, and within the last month, it's nothing to see vultures around, because when you have to get rid of groundhogs or raccoons and stuff, you just kind of throw them on the buzzard pile, and that's their feeding station. So anyway, but I just noticed these big birds flying around, and I have a bit of woods back there, and there's trails through them, and I just noticed them around the opening of one of the trails, and gosh darn, there were 5 eagles, and I was just in awe, and such a privilege to see, and to me that means I'm doing something right. And I have a good amount of deer on my property. I've got turkey. I've got frogs in the spring. So I'm doing something right in helping to maintain the integrity of the ecosystem as much as I'm humanly able to do that. So land is a privilege to own. It's a lot to work. And you need equipment, and you need time, you need strength, horsepower, if not manpower, to get it all done. So
right.
That kind of winds it up for at the moment for me. But I love it here. I love owning land and being out in the country. There's probably no place I'd rather be.
Well, hearing you talk about it is inspiring. That's why I definitely wanted to get your side of the story. And Daniel had to take off. So, all right, Daniel, have a good rest of your day. Man, he was out there. What's he in, Colorado Springs?
Yes.
Sitting outside, getting colder and colder.
What did he say the temperature was when he got on? It's something ridiculous.
10 degrees.
Yeah, with a wind chill of -20, he's out there smoking a cigar for 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
That's commitment.
He's tougher than all of us.
That's commitment.
Yeah.
The cigar can only last so long.
Well, speaking of wind chill and beating the wind chill, the one thing we haven't talked much about this evening is whiskey. and one of my favorite things. And I want to share with y'all something I received as a gift.
I'll drink to that.
I don't know if we can see
Balvenie?
here. The Balvenie
Yeah.
Scotch.
Yeah. 14, nice.
Now, this is the 14-year-old Caribbean cask. Scott, is that what you've got, Doc?
No, I got.
Alan, is that?
I think
What do you got, Alan?
It's this is the 12-year. It is not as prestigious as yours, but I am only here to second your opinion that it is mighty, mighty fine.
Yes, indeed.
Well, this is interesting. Instead of the sherry cask, they use rum casks, so it has a spicy flavor to it. Very
interesting.
Nice.
I'm going to pour me some Four Roses. That's all I have tonight. So I apologize for the inferior bourbon here, but I'm going to pour a little bit myself.
Four Roses is delicious. I like their single barrel stuff.
So if you ask what's in my bug out bag,
there we go. Four Roses.
That bottle of whiskey. That bottle of whiskey was from my parents' house. Now I'm 60. What? Are you 61, George?
61.
Okay, so I'm 63. That bottle right there was in my parents' house probably when I was 14.
Oh, wow.
So, does whiskey ever go bad?
No.
I mean, does whiskey spoil?
I don't think so. I mean, if it stayed corked up.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a twist top on it. Smells like whiskey.
I've actually never. Whiskey doesn't last very long in my home. So.
Mine either. Nope.
Peg, take a pull off of it and tell us.
A bottle of brandy that my great-grandfather brought back from World War I. And it's a big bottle of French brandy. There's still some in the bottom of it. And my brother and I have threatened each other with pouring it and slipping it to one another, because we figure it's got to be, what would we call it?
Toxic?
What did you call that stuff? The flaky, goopy juice?
Yeah, hocus pocus juice.
But it's a big bottle too. I mean, so, but I don't think it's probably drinkable. Or you're only going to drink one shot.
Yeah, that's probably gone well beyond the expiration date. I
know my great-grandfather has been well beyond the expiration date for quite some time now. So
yeah, the mountains are no longer blue on that.
Right.
Maybe that's what I should do.
I was going to say to Bryant, my gosh, every time I do these these group broadcasts, it's almost like it's people auditioning for to be guests on your podcast, Bryant.
I'm making note of that. I'm calling that out, but I have definitely made some mental notes of that.
I've given you a follow on YouTube.
The topic today on Graybeard Chronicles was hug your wife. Now, being guys, hugging your wives, great. But I think it fit to my world. It fits to many other people's world, just the importance of what a hug can truly mean. But for more information, if you're curious, go to his channel and watch it. There's so many good videos on there. I just can't.
It's great stuff.
I can't brag enough on it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Very kind. And as I said in my response to your comment today, I thought of you when we were recording that episode because I knew it would be something that would be dear to you, that subject matter. So I appreciate you sharing.
Yes, I appreciate that very much, Bryant. And I don't ever want to come across as online bloodletting. The thing for me is to help somebody that might be going through something similar or have never thought about what it might be like going through something similar, and what they might be able to do ahead of time before something should happen, or to live a better life in general. I think that's one thing I enjoy so much about your show and George's show. It's life skills.
Yeah, the ones that need to hear it will hear it, and anybody else, that's on them. So it's valuable information that you're sharing. And thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
And thank you, Brian, for letting me know. I didn't get it till later. I said, well, because I'm not really a big, on the internet kind of person. I mean, I watch a few YouTube podcasts and that's about it. I'm not on it. I use my computer for research mostly. And anyway, Brian had sent me a message because I looked, they had a snowstorm, which I was unaware of. And later I checked my Facebook and it said something like I had a message. Nobody messages me on Facebook. I was like, what is that? It's like, Brian, well, I know that you might be wondering where the video was. And they were without power and they couldn't produce it. And I did write you back, thank you, but that was probably a week or so after
Yeah, you did. And I didn't know how to reach out to you any other way. And so I found you on Facebook and sent you that message.
Well, thank you for finding me.
You look forward to seeing them, and you always comment very thoroughly on them. And wanted to try to give you a heads up of why it wasn't out there. So you guys were talking about, going without power and so on. We had a little test run of that last weekend or a couple weeks ago in Virginia. You may have seen on the national news where there's about 40 miles of Interstate 95 shut down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jammed in their cars for hours. That our county where I live is right smack dab in the middle of that 40-mile region.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was interesting. We were without power for like 3.5 days, but there were folks that went a lot longer. And fortunately, we had had some experiences with hurricanes and other snow and ice storms over the years, and we become more and more prepared. And it was funny. I was having a conversation with my wife afterwards about the things that I'm going to do different and to improve our situation, because we're really pretty well off. We didn't have everything that we needed, but the generator ran the essentials. And but I certainly want to set it up even better. And she said, she wasn't complaining. She was like, this is better than we've ever had it. And I said, yeah, but that's because we analyze after each incident and figure out how to do it better next time.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I too have a generator from my house. It's a gasoline generator and it runs just the essentials in the house. But I also have a wood burner downstairs, and we have a wood chute and built a container that we could put the wood in. And so I have the ability to heat the house with wood. Now, granted, I'd need the fan, with electric to get it throughout the house, but at least through, heat rising, it would work. And also on the walls, I have something called Columbia gas. It's not propane, but it looks like little fireplaces on the walls. There's one in the basement and there's one on the first floor that you don't need electric in order for them to work. So at least I can have heat in the house, as well as I have a gas stove.
I never heard of that, Peg.
What?
Like this little burner thing that you're talking about.
Yeah, yes, I would show it to you. It almost looks like a fireplace on the wall, a small unit, and there's like a grill in front of it. And it runs off of you have to get it piped in, of course, of Columbia gas. But you can. There's a lever downstairs if I want to use them, because I keep it off if I don't use them, because I don't want gas leaking or the possibility of. You just turn the levers and turn the knob to let the gas come up, and there's actually like a button, a flint, you might say. You push it and you can hear it click, and it makes a spark to start the flame to the unit. So there's one on the wall in the living room, and there's one in the basement. So at least I can keep both levels warm. So yeah, and I really love my gas stove. I like to cook with that versus electric anyway. But there too, you can cook. You won't have the electric igniter, but you can take your match or light a toothpick, get down in there, and it comes on. So, and I don't need electric for that. So, But anyway, yes, to be prepared. And water. Oh my gosh. I do have well water and the and city water, but the generator in the garage will operate the well water pump. So I can always, the well water's out in the barn now, but I can go out and fill up containers and bring that back in. But one winter, a water line broke down the way, and it was like piled high in snow. And my barn's a little away from the house, so I thought, well, that's a long way to go with like buckets of water. So I wound up melting snow, and of course, that snow is twice the amount of what water is. So it's like, oh, I've got these big pans of water, put it on the stove and all that. So I would have like water for the toilet and stuff like that. And it's like this pan of water, of snow this deep turned out to be water that deep. So,
right.
I'm doing the chain gang, getting it all together. And then one of the hunters came in his like big, 4-wheel drive truck. He could plow through all the snow. And so I texted him. It's like, and he said, oh yeah, the water main broke down, down the way a little bit. So the water was on later. But yeah, I got to rough it for a little bit. But yes, being prepared is a must when you're in the boonies. Extra food, fuel if you got it. I've got diesel fuel for the tractors out there. I've got, gas cans for the mowers, the cars, and the generator if needed. So
excellent.
Try to be
Well,
prepared.
we just said goodbye to Alan Harrelson. So, Alan, thank you for popping in. Appreciate your presence here tonight and taking some time out of your evening to spend with us. Alan Harrelson is an interesting character, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, oh,
Right.
yes.
Oh, yes, he's a mighty fine
Yeah.
character.
Something
I
I
could
would
listen
like.
to that dude talk all day.
Yeah, something I wanted to ask him. I mean, for the most part, we sound northern, and he's definitely sounds southern. But I know he sounds different to us. But how do we sound to him? Do we sound like New Yorkers?
Like a bunch of damn Yankees.
Well,
We're Yankees.
But yeah, the southern draw. His voice is just almost like a lullaby. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think the perception between northern and southern dialect is that if you're from the north listening to somebody from, say, Virginia or Missouri South, everybody sounds like they take forever to talk. And the farther south you go, the worse it gets, it seems. But if you're from the south listening to people from the north talk, it sounds like everybody talks very quickly and a little bit more rushed, I guess.
Well,
Right.
I know I experienced that. I'm in Ohio, and I had gone to Maine, and when we say a 2-day trip, it wound up being a 3-day trip. But I remember in the hotel that we stayed at in New Hampshire, gosh darn, there was like construction workers that were obviously from there because they had this accent, but everybody just seemed like not everybody, a majority of the people just sounded like they were already starting off having a bad day, just kind of, I don't know, jaggedy rough. It's like, have a nice day. But I found that myself, the further north that I went, the faster people spoke, but it seemed like they were irritably edgier too, for whatever reason. But that was the norm, probably. But yes, down south is kind of like easy, slow and easy.
Well, have you all ever heard Candace Owens talk?
Yeah.
How fast she talks. She'll suck the air out of a room. Okay? She's talking so fast, I think she has gills or something. She's not. Where in the South, we talk a little. Now, Texas is kind of, southern, sort of, maybe. We're Texas, but we talk a little slow.
It's a category all your own.
Thank you.
Yeah, Texas.
Even though we did fight with the South in the War of Northern Aggression, but we did do that. She talks super fast, and then you can listen to someone from who grew up in an urban environment in the South, like Atlanta, and then you had the people like Peg, you're from Ohio, and I'm familiar with Ohio, and you have what I would consider a typical Ohio sort of accent and moderation. I guess, is that the word I'm looking for? Your rate of speech. And I've been accused when I did radio of talking a bit slow, and then I had to pick up my tempo of speech. But my dad always taught me that if you're in a business negotiation, the beautiful thing about being Southern, the more agitated the other guy got on the other side, you just slowed down and got more polite. And that would make these Northern businessmen, their heads would explode.
Yeah.
You win.
You know, they're all, and you're like, now, just settle down. Just relax a little bit. We're going to get through this. I want to bring that up to about 25%. I know you want to take it to 20, but we can sit here a while and discuss it. Their head explodes. Because they've already been there 3 hours, right? Salutations took 30 minutes. So.
Hey, Pamela R. Also from Ohio. Good deal.
I'm going to be going to Ohio, actually.
Really?
Here, going to Cleveland to see my brother. He's in Cleveland.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
My father ran a furniture factory in Swanton, Ohio, Pilliod Furniture. There with the Pilliod brothers. And they turned my dad's big thing in furniture was that he took little companies and made them into big companies. That was his big thing. Cool. And he took Pilliod, which was a case good, made hope chests and stick furniture for Sears, and turned them into the largest case good manufacturer in the United States.
Wow.
With 3 factories, and our factories were like in Selma, Alabama, and Nichols, South Carolina. That's furniture country. Is the South.
Well, Cleveland, at least Northeast, my brother got 23 inches of snow.
Wow.
The other night.
Wow.
And
Really?
And then today, George, I'm going to probably have to update my 2008 Windows phone. So I went to the Verizon store, which we do have one in our little town. I mean, our little town's got a lot for being as small as it is. So I went in there and the guy looked at my phone and I said, well, when was the last time you saw a 2008 Windows phone? He goes, oh, about 4 years ago, and it wasn't working. Here, let me see what we can. What deals do you have that I can get like a free phone and continue my Verizon service? Been with Verizon since 2008, and I kept my husband's phone live because in case I misplace my phone, I can dial it and call it. But so I finally, said, this is, I need to get rid of that line. It's part of the budget, and I haven't used it recently. They'll probably need it as soon as it gets inactivated. But he just kind of looked at me and, it's like, and I go, well, what kind of phone you got? Well, these are the deals that we got and da-da-da-da-da. But so anyway, I have one on order that it was like terrible. It was like $99 with continuing on with my plan. But I said, well, am I going to be able to keep the plan that I already have and keep my husband's military discount? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, I do have, I think it's a 2 gig package, how much data you can use. And like if you look on there, you can see how much I use. He goes, yeah, you're hardly using anything. And I said, that's why. He goes, they don't even have that plan anymore. I go, well, can I keep it if I get a new phone? He goes, yeah. So, but anyway, long story short, our little town has a Verizon store, and where he came from in Cleveland, getting back to Cleveland, he left yesterday. This fella, I didn't recognize him because you live in a small town, you get to know people that work in the stores, and he, oh, hi, my name's Sam, and I live 2.5 hours away. I go, well, Cleveland? He goes, well, yeah, Northeast Cleveland. And he goes, Ashtabula, and I go, oh, close to Geneva. Because that's where my brother lives. But anyway, long story short, oh yeah, we had 27 inches. So, oh my word.
I'll take my mucklucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go all the way up to your belt.
For everyone, PSA, when you turn in your old phones that are out of date, let's say, no, you're getting a new phone, and you're not going to keep your old phone because it's not compatible anymore, donate it to the women's shelters, because what they do is they reprogram the phones as an emergency phone and hand them out. And so at the women's and children's shelters, donate your phones there. They'll put them to good use. It's better than just throwing them away, or because you know they're not worth anything really at a certain point.
They wouldn't want this one, John. They will no longer be operational at the
they have a deal they do where they can make an emergency call, like call 911 or something like that. It's an emergency.
You can do that on an inactivated phone also, I found out.
And so you can donate that. You know, I'm just saying it's a nice thing to do.
That's a good idea.
Really?
You know, because I hate just throwing something in the trash.
Right.
If it can be used. And they don't have any value.
It's got my old text messages on it. They won't transfer. My photos on it. They won't transfer.
They swipe
voicemails that won't transfer.
They clean them.
Oh, no, I want to keep them. I've got my husband's last voicemail on there, and a text from my sister and stuff like that.
Can you email it? Can you email the?
I probably could.
You can email some of that stuff over. Yeah, I have my war with technology.
I also have some things on here that might come in use for, and that has come in use for a litigation process I'm dealing with right now.
What I find funny is I've gone into places like with the COVID and everything, they don't give you menus anymore. You have to do the scan code, right?
Yep.
And I'll show up and I don't have my phone with me. And they go, well, you can take your item. And I said, I don't have my phone with me. And they look at you like, what?
Right.
What? You don't have your phone?
That period. Yeah. Yeah.
You know? Are you homeless? What? You don't have? And I'm like, no, I don't have my phone. Why do I need my phone? I'm going to be talking with these nice people, not sitting on my phone. Do you have any menus? You know,
actual menus.
You know, the paper things. Sometimes they're laminated. You know, and
isn't it crazy how it's almost become like part of your body now? Like I can remember when
not my body.
The cell phone craze just started. I didn't have. I think I'm 40 years old now. I got my first cell phone when I was 19. I started university. My dad had me get it at the time just so that I could keep in touch because I had some classes that were at night in night school. He wanted me to call them, make sure I was okay coming back home. And,
look, when they can swipe an ATM card in the crack of my butt, it's gone just a wee bit too far. You know what I'm saying? The scary thing I saw, some idiot in Sweden developed a implant for your virus passport.
Microchip, right? Yep. I saw
that. For your virus passport.
Yep.
Which country is that in?
Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah. Why am I not surprised?
Wow. That's crazy.
You know, give me a break.
Yeah.
And, you know, oh, well, we can't talk about that without fear of George getting his channel.
Oh. Well, another reason I mentioned the new phone, George, is that maybe, now granted, I don't get cell reception in the back of my property. Yeah. It's some kind of a vortex back there. But I should be able to take a video and kind of walk around my tree. And that way you can actually see the enormity of it. And now it's not the biggest tree in the world, but it's my one of my favorite places, 200-plus-year-old beech tree back there with just
that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
I should be able to do something like that with my new phone. at least get a video, hopefully, and be able to put it on my computer to upload it somewhere somehow so that other people can see it. Might be able to upload it. You can upload videos to Facebook, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, because I've seen other people with little short snippet videos of the ocean and the waves and things along that line. So maybe I can do something like that. It's just for me a magical place back there. That's where I want to build my she shed or my writing shed, should that ever come to pass. Meanwhile, I've been watching like the bushcraft. It's like, okay, I've got plenty of woods back there, and there's lots of trees down here and there. What can I drag and build myself?
You can do bushcraft videos, camping videos then.
Oh, right. Me with my battery operated chainsaw.
Yeah, right.
You can start making those videos like those little Asian dudes where they just have the stick and then they dig the dirt out into this gigantic underground pool. Does anybody else ever watch those other than me?
I watch those.
I swear to God, laying in bed before I go to bed, like just laying there, like I don't know what it is. Like those guys, like I've never wanted to do that until I saw it.
Yeah, yeah, they are actually they're very relaxing. I mean, there's no talking.
Yeah. It's almost like an ASMR, but it's like in fast. I don't know. It's just, it's somebody getting something done.
True. And I like how they make their like in cabin or in hut fireplaces / cooking.
Yeah.
And then how they piped it. It's so cool. I even thought about doing a teepee, but they'll dig trenches on. I'll use a teepee for example. They'll dig 2 trenches, one on one straight line basically, because you're going to have the fire in the middle or close to the middle. And these trenches, they put pipes in, and then the pipes go to the outside of the teepee, and then the pipes kind of go up and out, so the rain doesn't go down in the pipes. And in the fireplace or fire unit or whatever that they build, and when they build the fire in there, it sucks the air in from the outside to go up through the fireplace or cooking device, and then that also enables the smoke to rise out of the top of the teepee, or else they can pipe it out the side wall of their hut or what have you. But I just thought, I would have never thought about doing that, but if I ever do that, I know how now.
Yep.
Yeah, I love watching that stuff.
Well, it's funny. We did a lot of talk tonight. It was interesting on self-reliance. It seemed like that was a theme where everything escalated and just kind of we everybody was just sharing how they would make it when the power goes out, and how to use the land and animals and crops and just generators and fireplaces, and I just think this was a really, really good discussion. Definitely.
Absolutely.
There are actually a couple other channels, if you guys are interested in people that I follow, that I watch some of the content. There's a guy by the name of the Woodlander. He's in England. Similar story to Piero, a little bit different, but this guy moved from an urban setting to the woods. Built his own cabin in the woods, and he lives out there. He does videos from there, speaks from there, did it all by hand himself. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And then there's another guy out in BC here in Canada, called The Urban Farmer. I think he has a YouTube channel, but I know he mentioned that because of censorship and stuff, he's moved over to most of his content, I think, is on Odyssey, and he has a Telegram as well. His name is Curtis Stone, The Urban Farmer. Interesting guy too. Does all sorts of farming. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, he's a pretty cool guy.
It only takes if you just learn one little skill, just one little thing, you just never know when you're going to use that.
Absolutely.
I mean, as far as making building a fire, finding water.
Hey, Terry.
Hello.
Good evening.
Terry.
Hi there. I'm happy to join you all.
Well, we've been going for about 2.5 hours. It's been very interesting.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Right back.
Sorry I missed a lot of the discussion.
It's okay. There's one like bushcraft that's on YouTube. I don't know the name of it. I just kind of started watching it here and there. But there's this young gal. She's got really long dark hair, and she's got like the what we call them, like not leotards, but whatever, like the workout yoga pants and the pretty little boots and like she's building all of this stuff, and she does not get dirty. She kneels, like her knees never touch the ground or lean on that log or whatever, and by the time she gets done making her little wonderful meal on the stove that she built, clean. No, it's like I would be wearing most of the dirt. I'd be proud to, but she's just like super clean.
How did she do that?
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Through the magic of television.
But really interesting.
Totally unrealistic.
But really cool stuff she built.
It's probably the magic of a boyfriend that's doing all the work while he, and then he tells her to go stand in front of that hut and make it look like you just built it.
Vanna White. Now, you see you're working on stuff with the handsaw and gathering flat stones to make whatever oven or heater that she's building. So, but anyway, I just thought, how do you stay so clean?
Makeup artist.
That's great stuff. It's great stuff. Well, at our highest, we had 10 people on here. That was good. We had people as far as west as Colorado, as far south as South Carolina. That's good. Oh, no. Texas is even more south than South Carolina. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Colorado.
And I'm a little lower than South Carolina.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
New Jersey.
Missouri in the house.
Missouri.
As north from Canada. As Toronto.
Wow.
Sasquatch, where are you from?
Southeast Missouri.
Missouri. Okay.
Yep.
Great. Rob's in Toronto. Bryant's in Virginia. Russell's in New Jersey.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, I'm in New Jersey also.
New Jersey girl. Rob, Toronto. John, Texas. Me, Ohio. George, Pennsylvania.
It's not as bad as Neo Alcatraz, but it's getting there. It's slowly getting there.
Right.
I hear somebody from Pennsylvania also. Is there someone?
George.
Of course. Well, besides
GB there.
I'd say, George is Pennsylvania, because I grew up in Pittsburgh, so I'm not New Jersey native born, but been here for about 35 years.
So I mentioned at the beginning, my wife's has some cousins that are in New Jersey. I had the name wrong. It's actually called Lodi. It's a city by the name of Lodi.
Lodi.
Yeah. Lodi. Sorry. So that's my wife's uncle, so her father's brother and his family. They're there.
Nice.
Excellent. That's good.
Well, it's good to see everybody. And John, I'm just so thankful that you're feeling better. Love the beard coming back. Bryant, it was a pleasure to see you in person.
Yeah.
And virtually person-like. And Terry, of course, Russell's, I see him here and there, and I appreciate seeing him. And I've seen Sasquatch online and in the chat. Rob, I haven't seen you before, or if your name is different than in the chat, perhaps I've seen you. But it was a pleasure, and George, visiting with you all. And I just wanted to get that out of the way before we sign off, because I know it's coming.
Yeah,
thanks. On at the tail end, but Peg and I are friends on Facebook, so we're swapping all kinds of messages back and forth.
I appreciate that, Terry. I do. I truly do.
Well, I see the nurse coming down the hall with my night meds, so.
Yeah, right.
Here at Happy Acres,
Hey, Robin. Thanks for the last words, Rob.
Any last words?
Yeah.
Just that I really enjoyed the experience. It was really nice connecting with a community of people and hearing their stories, discussing things that we're all interested in. I think that's very invaluable. Especially with what's going on right now, like with COVID and everything. There's a lot of, like I said, isolation and stuff that goes on. Haven't had much of a social life for the past couple of years, so it is definitely nice to touch base and meet interesting people from all over the world.
Well, come down to Texas. You can have a social life and go out.
I would love to. I actually have a couple of friends that are down in. One is in Atlanta. The other one is in Boca Raton, in Florida.
That's Atlanta and Florida. I'm talking Texas, son. Come on now, get with
Not
the program.
same.
It's a different country.
Absolutely.
Texas is its own country.
I have lots of friends in Texas.
Yeah.
Houston.
That's funny.
But I'd love to come down. You know what? My team always growing up, when I used to be into football as a young kid, and my uncle, he got me into it, was the Cowboys, Dallas. That was grew up watching them. Yeah. He was a huge Cowboys fan when I was a little kid. Bought me a Cowboys tracksuit when I was 3 years old. Tony Dorsett back then.
Oh, Tony,
Tony Dorsett,
yes.
and then
Tony Dorsett when he went to Pitt, my alma mater. It was Dorsett. It was when he became
Roger Staubach and Tom
Dorsett.
Landry, and then I grew up with Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman, and
I go back to when the Cowboys played in the Cotton Bowl.
yeah.
Wow.
Go way back when used to go every Thanksgiving. They'd play the Redskins in the Cotton Bowl, and you could go for $5 or $10, get good tickets, and we'd sit in the 50-yard area. And I actually snagged a ball. It was a blown punt.
Wow.
Landed. Wow. I caught it. And my brother said, "Run." Because back then they got the balls back, you know.
Yeah.
And I took off, and people were cheering and everything. And I got out there, and I had to go sit out by the car with the ball till the game ended, and they all showed back up.
Okay, so who is everybody rooting for now that we're narrowing it down? I know George is not into all of this football stuff, but I am. Steelers are now out. I know that, so I'm paying attention to other teams now. So who are you rooting for those that are left? Sorry, George.
That's all right.
These are
Tampa Bay.
Guys are football. They're talking about football, so we've got to ask that question.
I don't know. Like
Tampa Bay.
Peg.
I'd root for the Cowboys, but only if they rode horses.
I think they're out now. Didn't they get eliminated? I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're out. Probably go for Buffalo just because they're close to home, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm going for the Bills too. Yeah, they're doing really well this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bills fans in Toronto because of the proximity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that the Eagles have been eliminated, the Eagles. In Pittsburgh, we had a supermarket called Giant Eagle, but it's just like we say the Stillers. It's Giant Eagle. So I am an Eagles fan also, but they're out. Steelers are out. I mean, so many teams are out, but I think the Bills really played hot, and I'm looking forward to. I have a friend that lives in that area, and there are a number of people that are rooting. So we'll see how it plays out.
Is Tampa Bay still in it?
I think so. Yeah.
I think they are. Yeah. I think they are.
You got to root for Tampa Bay because they used to be the worst team. They used to be the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
And they used to have commercials where they would, like, on a pirate ship, and the cannonball would fire and fall through the deck, and the mast fell over, and they'd try to swing onto the pirate ship and hit the side. And the guys are dressed up in their football gear, and then finally they're like hop onto the deck and they go, "That was then, and now is now, and we're the new Tampa Bay." You gotta love it, man.
Absolutely. I mean, they're definitely the new Tampa Bay now. I mean, they're playing well, so we'll have to see what happens.
But I remember back in the day when they sucked. I mean, like
they did for years. For years.
You couldn't give away Tampa. They were like the Mavericks. You couldn't give away tickets.
I had friends in Tampa, and I always teased them when we went through the season. I said, "You know what? You have no hope."
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Bradeneers.
Yeah.
Russell.
Yes.
Russell. Any last words?
Amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. All right.
Jesse Lee.
That's good. Sasquatch, how about yourself? Any final words?
I just say that I appreciate you having everybody on, especially the Patreon members. That was a real treat. For me personally, being able to sit in here in my house in my little cozy nook here and smoke a pipe with the guy who taught me how to smoke a pipe was a lot of fun, George. So I appreciate it, man. And to everybody else on the panel, great conversation. It does not feel like almost 3 hours has gone by. So I hope you all take care.
I hope next time I can get on earlier.
Bryant, any last words?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for the invite on here tonight, George. Thanks for doing this. Great conversation. And Peg, again, awesome to finally have a live conversation with you and be able to thank you for all your comments that you share on our podcast. And yeah, just great hearing everybody's stories and the wealth of wisdom and knowledge and experiences that you guys have had.
Yeah, great. Well, it's excellent to have you here. And I just want to reiterate to everybody that's watching right now that Bryant Halstead's YouTube channel is called the Graybeards. The Graybeard Chronicles.
Yeah, the Graybeard Chronicles. Yes.
And it's just a top channel. It's going to be one of those things where when people find it, it's going to be like hand to forehead saying, why didn't I find this earlier? But yeah, it's really such a quality channel. It's really one of my favorites. And I'm not just saying that, but I truly think that it's with all the garbage that's online, you offer just solid content. Just I can't miss any of your podcasts. I can't miss them. So
thank you very much. I appreciate that. You're very kind.
Yeah. Peg, any last word?
Yes. Well, a question really. When I was having problems like logging in, and you had talked about you were going to be having your special sessions.
Yes.
Widows, widowers, breakups, divorces, that kind of thing. And I know I caught you saying Tuesday, but I'm not sure what Tuesday or if you know what Tuesday. And I remember you saying on one of your casts, like, oh, I'm going to use PayPal and something like Venmo and I don't have PayPal, and I don't even know what the other V word is. But will there be links to that on one of your casts?
Yeah, one of the things that I was talking to somebody today, and I'm trying to think who it was. Someone said, "Are you going to invite Peg to the widow group?" I said, "Yeah."
Wow.
I said, Peg and Terry are going to be invited to be part of that group. So,
well, thank you.
And you will just be invited to that. So don't worry about that, Peg. That's going to be.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Definitely. Well, Terry P. Cox, MBA. Any final words?
Well, I'm delighted to be here. I didn't know what it was. All I saw was, you were inviting me in, and I didn't know what I was being invited into. So I'm delighted. It's wonderful. Glad to be part of the group, and I hope that I am invited again sometime soon, and hopefully earlier, so I can learn about everybody and we can be sharing. But I agree with what was said about everybody connecting, because this is not an easy time, and a lot of us are isolated. And we're not doing our usual social scene and getting out, and and it really means a lot. I was just talking about that with someone else earlier today. Had my hair done. So
That's good.
I noticed that. Yes.
Thank you. I know you noticed those things. I had to call attention. Yes, and I actually told Nicole that you actually had mentioned it when you invited me on your stream. So so I mean, when we were doing the live chat, and you noticed it, so she was grateful for that. But yeah, so I was talking to her, and actually I was the only one in the shop, and she had an early day, and you know, she's losing some business too because of everything is related to COVID. But we were all, the three of us were hugging each other and saying, we just wanted to hug each other because we're all separated and isolated, and it feels good. So I wish, okay, I'm giving you all a big virtual hug.
Excellent.
However they do that.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, and hearts too.
Excellent. Well, it's always good. You know, it's interesting. You know, Peg ended up being the only female on this for a while here, but I do like having, for lack of a better term, a woman's touch in my community, because I think a lot of times when I do, like, I only work with men in my personal work, but when I'm online like this, a lot of times with guys, it can be, especially some of the guys that I have that know me over the years and have seen me speaking and various conferences and such, and have been part of my work. It can be an echo chamber. And sometimes it's nice to break up the echo chamber and bring in other voices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not enough of that in the world right now.
No, definitely not.
John Hoover says, my phone died. Y'all have a great night. He said, y'all have a great night.
Y'all.
And
happy trails. Thanks, George, for having me on. I enjoyed all the other guests. Well, John Hoover from Austin, Texas is always welcome here. He's one of the homies here, and definitely, you know, there are some regulars here, definitely that have been around for a while, and I am, you know, it's interesting because I was thinking about having there seems to be a trend with a lot of the man channels where they're having panels of women, where there's just like one guy facilitating, then the rest, it's all women. But I was thinking, if I was to do that, how would I do that? You know, because a lot of the man channels, they talk about things that I don't want to talk about in front of women, you know, publicly, and just things that I just wouldn't want. I don't want to be known for all of that sexual marketplace, intersexual dynamics. I don't want to be that guy, because to me that kind of like puts me in a corner. I don't want to be stereotyped, even though that's some of the movement that I came out of. So I think when I eventually do an all-female night, it'll be by invitation. It'll be like Peg, Terry, Lindy, you know, some of the gals that show up here. I was mentioning the other night, I haven't heard from Tanisha in at least 2 months. So I haven't seen her around. So I'm hoping that she's okay.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah.
So
Kimberly.
Yeah, I mean, and usually she shows up, even if she just swings by to say hi. But I haven't heard from her, so I got to find out if she's okay. But I would like to do that full female panel and facilitate a discussion, you know, with 6 or 8 of the female regulars, and just kind of see where that goes, and do a different kind of female panel than the other. Pamela R. just said she would love to join. Yes, Pamela, you're one of the regulars. So, yeah. John Hoover says we need to have the Dom ladies back. Do you remember that? That was was that about 6 months ago when we had Terry from Alabama and Athena from Texas were talking about like the dominant, submissive lifestyle, whatever that thing is. I mean, that's not my area of expertise.
No,
but,
not mine either. Thank goodness.
So, that might be an interesting talk. But yeah, John still remembers that. He's commenting. He's like, "That was a wild show." It was. That was quite interesting. But anyways, well, thank you everybody for showing up. I can't believe it's almost been 3 hours. Thank you for being here, for your contribution. There were many themes that kind of took off. It's kind of interesting how you float something and it doesn't generate discussion, and then you might just have a few key words, and then all of a sudden it just builds and builds and builds. And I know a lot of that started with Rob when you were talking about self-sustainability, self-reliance and such, and then all of a sudden the whole conversation went into hunting and crops and gathering water and how to heat your house when the grid goes down, and boy, that really took off. And there was some really good tips here tonight and great contributions in that area. So that was great. So thank you very much, everybody. And
thank you, George.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
George.
And I will do this again. I consider tonight a success. And I'm glad we had Alan on here. I don't know if he's still watching, but
super interesting guy.
Oh yeah,
fun dude.
Right?
I liked him. Yeah.
Just it was interesting. It really was interesting, definitely. And Sasquatch, good to meet you.
You too. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Bryant, a pleasure as always, sir. Always.
Thank you. Likewise.
I have to check out your podcast.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I
Appreciate
gave you a follow.
episode because you're talking about hugs, and the episode was entitled "Hug Your Wife" and the importance of hugs. So yeah, check it out. Appreciate that.
I think you'll really like it, Terry. I really do. Good wholesome stuff.
I'll check it out for sure.
That's great.
And spread
All
the
right.
word.
I will. Absolutely. The right message.
Mm-hmm.
Terry, I will send you that episode. I'll text it to you.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll talk
Have a good
again
one.
soon.
Nice meeting you.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye.
All
Good
right.
night. Thank you.
Good night.